Chapter 1634. After Officer Fong finished speaking, he asked the people who stayed behind to pack their luggage. After staying here for 20 days, Luo Mei was reluctant to leave. So many of us were eliminated so suddenly. I feel a little sad. Luo Mei pouted and said dejectedly, "All good things must come to an end. Our selection competition will officially end in 10 days. Su Mei had to say something that made Luo Mei's heart ache. Luo Mei was still too naive. Then can I still hang out with you guys in the future? Luo Mei looked at Yun Jian and then at Su Mei and asked expectantly. Of course. Su Mei answered coolly. Luo Mei heard Su Mei's words and looked at Yun Jian expectantly. Sure. Yun Jian's red arc moved slightly and she said calmly. That's great. Luo Mei smiled at Yun Jian and Su Mei and clapped her hands excitedly. TSK, we've only been together for a few days. You're acting as if you've already been through life and death together. Pretentious. Nan Linlin heard what Luo Mei said to Yun Jian and Su Mei and couldn't help but complain. As soon as she finished speaking, Nan Linlin's call was connected. She hurriedly pressed the hands-free button and pressed the phone to her ear. The disgusting face just now instantly disappeared and was replaced by an intimate and disgusting smile. Hello, dear, what are you doing? Me. We're going to a taekwondo dojo. I don't know where it is. Okay. I'll send you the address as soon as I know it. Aha. I love you too. I want a kiss. I've been here for you for the past few days and I've been bored to death. Yun Jian raised her eyebrows slightly after Nan Linlin's mushy words. Luo Mei and Su Mei's tolerance was obviously weaker than Yun Jian's. Even though it was not their first time hearing Nan Linlin's mushy words, their lips still twitched. It was true that they reacted this way because they were numbed by the words. However, Yun Jian had already packed her bag. She slung it over her shoulder and was about to walk out. We're ready too. Luo Mei and Su Mei couldn't stay any longer. They quickly picked up their luggage and followed Yun Jian out of the door. After everyone had arrived, Officer Fong led them to the taekwondo gym he had mentioned. This taekwondo dojo was very big. It was the only dojo in the entire Z country. It took Officer Fong 2 hours to take a bus to get here. Other taekwondo dojos only had 1 floor, and the area was not large, but this taekwondo dojo's had 3 floors. The entire 3 floors were the taekwondo dojo's territory. Each of the 3 floors was an endless training ground. The business here was very big, and there were many people who came here to practice taekwondo. Moreover, there was a hotel on the 3rd floor of the taekwondo club. As soon as Yun Jian and the others arrived, they were arranged to stay in a hotel on the 3rd floor of the taekwondo dojo. Because the business of the taekwondo dojo was booming, many big shots from all over the country came here. Even some famous people from the world came here, so the business of the hotel was also booming. After Yun Jian and the others checked in on the 3rd floor, the one-on-one competition was not in a hurry to start. At night, Officer Fong gave everyone some free time. They could also go out with their friends, go to restaurants, go to the supermarket to buy something to eat, and so on. After Yun Jian, Su Mei, Luo Mei, and the others settled down, they went downstairs to look for food. It was still early. 5 o'clock was the time for the taekwondo students to go home for dinner, so Yun Jian and the others did not see many taekwondo students when they went downstairs. They found a snack bar nearby and sat down to order 3 bowls of pickled vegetable noodles. Just as Yun Jian and the others relaxed, they heard someone at the next table mention, "Hey, did you guys know? I heard that many special forces have just moved in at the taekwondo dojo next door. It said that there will be a one-on-one competition to choose the best 3 people." Chapter 1635. Special Forces? Special Forces coming to the taekwondo dojo for a fight? Is this news real or fake? Did you inquire wrongly? Another person asked in a slightly suspicious tone. How can my news be fake? Do you know about the International Hunting Academy? It's the place where the Special Forces are trained. I heard that this time the Special Forces will compete here and choose the best 3, so that they can send the best 3 to the hunting school to further their studies. I heard that 80 Special Forces have been eliminated and the top 20 have been chosen. The final battle will be held at the taekwondo dojo. The top 20 Special Forces are the best in the whole of Country Z. They're not something that normal Special Forces can compare to. The burly man sitting next to him slurped his noodles and described the incident as if he was intoxicated. He looked as if he was one of the powerful Special Forces soldiers that he described. Hearing the man's boasting, the other burly men beside him were mesmerized. They clapped their hands and exclaimed, "Amazing! Amazing!" They didn't know that two of the special forces that they were boasting about were right next to them. It was normal that outsiders couldn't tell Yunjian and Su Mei's strength from their looks. Ahem. Su Mei blushed in embarrassment when she heard the boos of the men next to her. She coughed twice to show her embarrassment. Luo Berry and Nan Lin Lin weren't counted among the 20, so Luo Berry was just a little surprised. Yunjian was calm as if nothing could change her expression. "The noodles are here. 3 bowls of kimchi noodles. It's warm, be careful not to burn it." The shop owner brought 3 bowls of freshly cooked kimchi noodles and placed them in front of Yunjian and the other 2. "Wah! It looks delicious." Luo Berry couldn't help but pick up her chopsticks and put the noodles into her mouth. "Phew! It's so hot. Don't burn yourself." Luo Huan gasped. She took 2 deep breaths. Then, she was afraid that Yunjian and Su Mei would be scalded like her. She endured the burning pain in her mouth and quickly spoke to Yunjian and Su Mei. "Hurry up and drink some water. Look at how impatient you are." Su Mei laughed dryly and quickly poured a cup of water for Luo Mei. Yunjian's eyelids lifted slightly, and her red eyes curved slightly. Yunjian ordered 3 bowls of noodles in a row and ate them all without blushing. Maybe it was because the noodles were too delicious. By the time they finished dinner, it was already 6:30 p.m. As soon as Yunjian and the other 2 returned to the Taekwondo dojo, they saw about 20 to 30 Taekwondo students practicing boxing on the training ground on the first floor. There were also quite a few people standing around. It seemed like they were here to watch the show. "Come on, come on, come on. Go Lin Kuan." There were actually girls dressed as cheerleaders standing by the side. They seemed to be cheering for a handsome boy among the 20 to 30 Taekwondo students. They seemed to be having a competition. "Let's stay and watch before going back." Su Mei was suddenly interested. She squinted her eyes and said, "Sure." Luo Berry nodded. Yunjian also stood in the same spot. These students were all practicing Taekwondo moves to see who could perform better. The male student named Lin Kuan instantly became the center of attention. Chapter 1636. That boy named Lin Kuan was the one with the most cheers out of all the Taekwondo students present. Moreover, this boy named Lin Kuan's punching technique was indeed vigorous and on point. Lin Kuan very much enjoyed being the center of attention. The girls around him were wearing cheerleading outfits and cheering him on. Today was the Taekwondo dojo's monthly punching competition. It was a competition of whose punches were on point and accurate. Ha! It wasn't until this boy named Lin Kuan threw the last punch that the group of girls wearing cheerleading outfits screamed and the atmosphere reached its climax. There were also many parents standing around. It seemed that most of them were here to accompany their son. Seeing their son punching in front of these 20 to 30 Taekwondo students, they suddenly felt a sense of pride. Some parents even pulled the surrounding people and pointed at a certain figure and said, "This is my son," and so on. That boy named Lin Kuan was about 18 or 19 years old. When he threw the last punch and received the screams of the surrounding girls, his smug look could no longer be concealed. They are all so powerful. They are simply young geniuses. Each and every one of them has a unique skill. A parent exaggeratedly screamed and praised the 20 to 30 Taekwondo students. The scene had already reached its peak. Countless people were cheering and screaming uncontrollably. "They are the hope of our country." Some parents even shouted loudly. To the parents, these youths who trained in Taekwondo were like martial arts experts. Because they knew Taekwondo. That feeling was different from that of ordinary youths. In short, in the eyes of the parents, as long as the children had a little bit of ability, they were already very powerful. This was also the reason why that boy named Lin Kuan, who looked quite good, was so smug. When a person was smug, it was completely dependent on the people around him flattering him. If no one around him flattered him, then there was no doubt that this person would not feel that he was different from ordinary people. After Lin Kuan finished punching, he domineeringly turned his head. He walked over and took a bottle of mineral water from a girl. He opened it and drank it. This girl was so happy that she almost fainted. Lin Kuan actually took the mineral water from her hand. Lin Kuan was already tired of these girls. Every time it was the same group of people who came to watch him punch. Once or twice, he felt very smug and knew how to brag about his strength. But every time it was the same group of people who came to watch him punch and then screamed and cheered. He was no longer satisfied. Just as Lin Kuan drank the mineral water that the girl gave him, he inadvertently glanced at Yun Jian and the other two not far away. These three girls, he had never seen them before. Lin Kuan tossed the bottle of mineral water in his hand away, allowing it to flow on the floor as he made his way to Yun Jian and the others. Lin Kuan went to pick up girls again. Standing not far away were a few people who were about the same age as Lin Kuan. They were also members of the Taekwondo dojo and were also Lin Kuan's good friends. Lin Kuan's attention, Lin Kuan's girls' attention. Who was Lin Kuan? Lin Kuan S. Lin Kuan ran a hand through her hair as she stared at Yun Jian and Luo Mei, waiting for their reply. Luo Mei gulped and hid behind Yun Jian without making a sound. Lin Kuan, on the other hand, looked at Yun Jian. Are you sure you want me to comment? Under Lin Kuan's expectant gaze, Yun Jian indifferently asked. Of course. Lin Kuan flicked his hair again. He looked at Yun Jian expectantly and continued to confirm. He had full confidence that Yun Jian would definitely give him a very high evaluation. Because his strength was there for all to see. He would not accept any rebuttal. In the distance, Lin Kuan's friends all revealed mocking smiles. Which young girl who saw Lin Kuan's handsome and eye-catching side wouldn't be able to resist giving him a high evaluation? Everyone around them looked at Yun Jian as if they were making a solemn vow. However, he heard Yun Jian's comment, fancy moves, flashy but not practical. Nice to look at, but useless. Lin Kuan was dumbfounded by this comment. She said, what did she say? Did she say that he was good-looking but useless? Hey, what's wrong with you? Lin Kuan is the best fighter in our Taekwondo dojo. You're a girl who doesn't even know how to fight. How dare you say that Lin Kuan's moves are flashy but not practical? You're provoking us, right? Do you think you're one of those famous Special Forces soldiers who moved in today? You're just a young girl. How dare you use such a tone to comment on us? If you have the guts, show us how to fight. Just as Yun Jian finished her comment, the boys in Lin Kuan's group immediately ran over and pointed at Yun Jian. Their tone was full of disdain for Yun Jian. It was as if they were saying, you're a girl, so you should praise me. You don't even know Taekwondo, so what's so great about it? Just as they finished speaking, someone walked in through the door. The man looked around and found his target before calling out to Yun Jian, Su Mei, and Luo Berry, you're here. 006, 057, 101, Officer Fong is calling us to gather outside. This person was one of Yun Jian's Special Forces soldiers. Suddenly hearing this person's words, the boy who said that Yun Jian was not good was shocked. Chapter 1637. Officer Fong led a team of Special Forces soldiers into the Taekwondo dojo, and they were about to have a one-on-one match. Even though Officer Fong brought Yun Jian and her group of 20 over people here to keep a low profile, the news still leaked out. Special Forces soldiers, to ordinary people, they were a sacred symbol. Normally, they wouldn't even be able to meet them. Being a Special Forces soldier represented strength. Why did the youths in the Taekwondo dojo train so hard? Wasn't it all for the sake of becoming stronger? And the Special Forces soldiers were such a powerful existence. As the saying goes, powerful people will always be looked up to. When they heard that Yun Jian was a Special Forces soldier, all the parents and students in the Taekwondo dojo looked over with curiosity and shock. She's one of the most powerful Special Forces soldiers in the country? She. Lin Kuan, who was swaggering in front of Yun Jian, was so shocked that his eyes widened. He looked at Yun Jian with a terrified expression. The girl in front of him was actually one of the most powerful Special Forces soldiers in the country? Was she even 18 years old? Lin Kuan's expression changed. He stared at Yun Jian, and his expression was as if he had stepped on dog poop. Just now, he was so cocky in front of Yun Jian. He thought that a girl actually dared to use such a contemptuous tone to judge him. She was only good-looking, but she was useless? But now, it seemed that his actions just now had turned into a ridiculous joke. Lin Kuan's expression was extremely dark. Let's go, let's gather. Su Mei was the oldest after all. She saw Lin Kuan and this group of brats talking about Yun Jian like that, and now they were being humiliated. She only twitched the corner of her mouth and was too lazy to argue with them. Su Mei waved at Yun Jian and Luo Mei, and walked towards the Taekwondo dojo's main entrance. Yun Jian only sneered slightly, and then she turned around and followed Su Mei out of the Taekwondo dojo. Yun Jian's fluttering long hair was tied up high at the back of her head. She wore a black tight suit, and her tall and beautiful figure was vividly displayed. Her back view was so free and easy that it made people's blood boil. Are all the Special Forces soldiers gathering at the entrance? Let's go. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Why aren't you guys going to take a look? Some parents reacted and shouted excitedly. All the students and parents in the Taekwondo dojo reacted and followed them out. Although Lin Kuan felt awkward, he couldn't hold back his curiosity, and walked out of the Taekwondo dojo's group. The three of them were the last to gather at the entrance. Chief Fong was currently standing on the steps of the Taekwondo gym, looking down at them. By the time the three of them entered the troop and stood at attention, everyone was already present. At this time, Lin Kuan and the others walked out of the Taekwondo dojo's entrance, full of curiosity. Everyone stood in the distance and looked at Yun Jian's group of 20 people. Tomorrow, we will officially start the one-on-one competition. The rules are simple. We will draw lots to fight. The winner will stay, and the loser will pack up and leave. From today onwards, there will be a competition every day until the final 3 people are chosen. Officer Fong and the others were all present, and he spoke very solemnly. Because they were temporarily gathered at the entrance of the Taekwondo dojo, the passers-by stopped and looked over. Parents, Lin Kuan, and the others were all standing around. What shocked Lin Kuan and the others the most was that Yun Jian was actually a member of the Special Forces. But the shock was far more than that. After Officer Fong finished his speech, he continued, "Now, each of you can express your thoughts or your confidence in the competition." Officer Fong looked at Yun Jian and said to Yun Jian, "006, you have the best ability. You go first." After he finished speaking, Lin Kuan and the others watched as Yun Jian walked out from the group of Special Forces soldiers, and then walked up. The best ability? The youngest girl actually had the best ability. Chapter 1638. Lin Kuan and the others watched as Yun Jian left the team and slowly walked to the stairs of the Taekwondo dojo. She stood next to Chief Fong and turned around to look down at the people in the team. Seeing Yun Jian's solemn look, Lin Kuan and the others who were standing in the distance had an illusion for a moment. Yun Jian's appearance was like the king of all, looking down on everyone. Although Yun Jian's age and the aura she was exuding at this moment were completely different, Lin Kuan and the others who were standing in the distance couldn't help but be impressed by Yun Jian's aura. At this moment, Lin Kuan seemed to feel the difference between himself as a Taekwondo player and Yun Jian as the king of the Special Forces. In spite of it, Lin Kuan swallowed hard and shook his head, refocusing his gaze on Yun Jian. He saw Yun Jian standing next to Chief Fong. She narrowed her eyes and pursed her lips. In front of so many people, adults and children, she calmly said a sentence that made everyone feel that she was arrogant. "First place in this year's qualifier. Sorry, it's mine." Yun Jian's words were arrogant to the extreme. If the person who said this was a tall and sturdy man with great strength, no one present would have any doubts about it. But the person who said this was an underage girl who looked like she wasn't even 18 years old. Although Yun Jian's figure was slim, she was already 165 meters tall. Among women, this height wasn't considered short. In spite of it, Yun Jian was skinny. Her slender figure made her look like a frail little girl. Let's not talk about this. Look at the group of Special Forces soldiers standing below. Which one of them was as thin as Yun Jian? But Yun Jian was still so arrogant. Although Chief Fong said that Yun Jian's ability was the best. But ability didn't represent strength. This young lady was able to become a Special Forces soldier at such a young age. She even stood out after eliminating the other Special Forces soldiers. She's really amazing. It's a pity that she's not modest, and her strength isn't that strong either. Such an arrogant little girl won't last long. A male parent who knew about one of the contestants shook his head and sighed. Heh, who are you trying to impress? Nan Lin Lin, who was standing in the distance, sneered when she heard Yun Jian's words. He didn't say anything else. Zhou Duanjing and the others, who had always been at odds with Yun Jian, didn't try to undermine her after Yun Jian spoke in front of so many people. When Yun Jian returned to her original position, it was Zhou Duanjing's turn. Zhou Duanjing glared at Yun Jian fiercely and strode up the stairs. 006. The one-on-one competition will officially start tomorrow. On the day I fight you, I'll let you know how to write the word strength gap. Zhou Duanjing provoked Yun Jian with arrogant words as soon as he stood on the stairs. His tone was so mischievous that the surrounding audience was dumbfounded. When they finally reacted, the surrounding audience suddenly became excited. A public challenge? Then the one-on-one competition from tomorrow onwards would be fun. When Zhou Duanjing came down the stairs, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and met his gaze. She mercilessly rebutted Zhou Duanjing's provocation in front of everyone. Chapter 1639. Yun Jian's counterattack made Zhou Duanjing's face darken. Anyone who was smart enough could tell that Zhou Duanjing and Yun Jian were not on good terms. I'll see you in the arena. Zhou Duanjing gritted her teeth and spat back at Yun Jian. Zhou Duanjing was a member of the Special Forces after all. Lin Kuan, who wanted to show off in front of Yun Jian, felt a shiver run down his spine. Lin Kuan was still young. Although he was considered the most talented and powerful among the youths at his age, he was still young. But compared to the Special Forces, it was not even worth mentioning. Especially for a Special Forces soldier like Zhou Duanjing who exuded an imposing aura. Lin Kuan felt his hair stand on end just by looking at Zhou Duanjing's eyes, let alone talking to Zhou Duanjing as arrogantly as Yun Jian did. I'll wait for the day I kick you out of the competition. That kind of arrogant words. Regardless of Yun Jian's strength, Lin Kuan swallowed his saliva hard. Officer Fong obviously did not stop Yun Jian and Zhou Duanjing from verbally challenging each other. Sometimes if one didn't stimulate one's potential, one would never know what realm one's strength could reach. After all the members went up to express their fighting spirit, Officer Fong concluded with a final sentence before dismissing everyone. From tomorrow onwards, no matter if you leave or stay, please remember that you are the best. Some people would be frustrated for life because of one failure. Officer Fong was afraid that the Special Forces soldiers who were eliminated would have doubts about their strength. That was why he would transmit some positive energy to them before every large-scale elimination. Alright, from now on, you can hang your number tags on your chests. Tomorrow onwards, you will enter the finals and compete one-on-one. You can dismiss now. After Officer Fong finished speaking, he announced the dismissal. The moment Officer Fong announced the dismissal, Luo Berry breathed a sigh of relief for some reason. Luo Berry then took out the number tag from his pocket and fastened it on his chest. Although Luo Berry and Nan Lin Lin would not be participating in the finals tomorrow, the two of them trained like Yun Jian and the rest. Why can't this brooch be fastened? Sister Moldy, can you help me take a look? Luo Berry tried for a long time, but she couldn't close the number tag on her chest. She tugged at it for a long time before leaning towards Su Mei. At this moment, Yun Jian was standing not far away. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and did not touch her number tag. Because Lin Kuan, who was showing off in front of her just now, was standing in front of her. So you're from the Special Forces. Let's be friends. My dream is to be a Special Forces soldier too. To become a soldier. I believe that with my strength, I can definitely become a Special Forces soldier like you. It's just that God hasn't given me the opportunity to join the Special Forces like you did. But I believe that I will definitely join the Special Forces. I think we must be on the same side. So let's be friends. Lin Kuan confidently extended his hand towards Yun Jian. He had a mysterious confidence that if he joined the Special Forces, his strength would definitely be stronger than Yun Jian's. If a girl of Yun Jian's age could join the Special Forces, it meant that it wouldn't be difficult to stand out in the Special Forces. And with his strength, it would be extremely easy to stand out in the Special Forces. In short, Lin Kuan was full of confidence in himself. Even Yun Jian could not help twitching the corners of her lips when she saw how confident she was. Ah! Lin Kuan actually personally invited a girl to be his friend. So handsome. So handsome. I'm going to faint. Why can't I be that girl? That girl is so lucky. Oh my God, I'm really going to die from how handsome he is. Indeed, Lin Kuan is the most handsome when he's making friends. That girl has a few lifetimes of good luck. She can actually become friends with Lin Kuan. The group of girls who were cheering for Lin Kuan when he was punching earlier all pretended to be infatuated with him. Lin Kuan admitted that he made friends with Yun Jian because of her good looks. But towards Yun Jian, Lin Kuan didn't have that kind of feeling. He simply felt that Yun Jian's strength was weaker than his, but he also felt that being a member of the Special Forces might be of great help to his future development. Just as Lin Kuan extended his hand towards Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. But before she could say anything, Yun Jian felt an extra hand around her waist. The next second, a large palm grabbed her waist and pulled her into a warm and comfortable embrace. Stay away from my woman and you can live a long life. Chapter 1640. That warm chest, even if Yun Jian didn't guess, she could guess who it was. Who else could it be other than him? As long as Yun Jian was free and could come out, Ce would come to find her. To describe Ce in an unkind way, even if she hid at the ends of the earth, he would still use his super invincible nose that was 100 million times more sensitive than a dog's nose to find her. Sure, if she told him that she dared to use the super invincible nose to describe his ability to find people, Yun Jian reckoned that she wouldn't be able to get out of bed tomorrow. He would definitely love and dote on her. You are her boyfriend? Lin Kuan wasn't as ignorant as any of the boys that Yun Jian had met before. Other than being arrogant, Lin Kuan was an outstanding person. Hearing Ce call Yun Jian his woman, Lin Kuan immediately reacted. The man in front of him was Yun Jian's boyfriend? We are already married. She is now my wife. Ce didn't care what Lin Kuan thought of Yun Jian. As he spoke, he reached his slender hand into his trouser pocket. Yun Jian only needed to look at Ce's hand gesture to know what Ce was going to do. He was going to take out their marriage certificate from Country R again. Yun Jian felt a little embarrassed to talk about Ce's strange habit. She coughed twice and reached out to grab Ce's hand, stopping Ce from taking out the marriage certificate. Ce was going to show off the marriage certificate before putting it back, but with Yun Jian holding his palm and feeling the soft girlish touch, he was so mesmerized by her beauty that he forgot to reach his hand into his pocket to retrieve the marriage certificate. Hearing Ce say that Yun Jian was his wife, the surrounding people were a little surprised. However, looking at Ce's handsome face, they couldn't refute him. Ce's handsomeness made everyone present speechless. Ahem. That's her boyfriend, I know. Lin Kuan coughed twice. Couples in school would sometimes use husband and wife to refer to each other. Lin Kuan didn't find it strange. I just want to be friends with her. After all, we are both outstanding talents. It's normal for talents to make friends with talents. Besides, I don't have any bad intentions. Lin Kuan thought that he was in the right as he spoke to Ce boldly. In spite of it, Ce cut Lin Kuan off halfway through. Do you think you're worthy of being friends with my woman? Befriending his Xiao Jian? Ce held back his urge to shoot Lin Kuan as he hugged Yun Jian's soft body and refused to let go. So soft. Especially the fullness that his arm rubbed against. Just by rubbing her plump breasts with his hand, he could feel her fullness. I really want to rub it, touch it, lick it. Cough, cough. If Yun Jian knew what Ce was thinking right now, she probably wouldn't allow Ce to hug her. Wah! Yun Jian, you're married. Congrats, congrats, congrats. As a good friend, I'm definitely going to attend your wedding in the future. Luo Mei was surprised by Ce's words, but she chose to believe him and congratulated Yun Jian right away. Luo Mei was still fiddling with the number tag on her chest with Su Mei, so she congratulated Yun Jian when she heard what Ce said. Su Mei was surprised as well, but she was more mature than Luo Mei, so she did not say much. Of course. Hearing that Luo Mei was going to attend her and Ce's wedding, Yun Jian broke into a smile. Luo Mei lowered her head to fiddle with her number tag after she was done talking to Yun Jian. Why couldn't she get it up? Nan Lin Lin, who was a distance away, was indignant when she saw that Yun Jian had such a handsome boyfriend. Seeing that Luo Mei was close to Yun Jian and was fiddling with her brooch, Nan Lin Lin walked over and bumped into Luo Mei hard. Ah! Luo Mei fiddled with the brooch, and it pierced into her hand. She screamed from the pain. Yun Jian and Su Mei were about to make a move when they saw it. However, before Yun Jian and Su Mei could do anything, Nan Lin Lin, who was about to enter the Taekwondo dojo, was grabbed by Mo Sen, who was standing behind Ce. stopping her from moving forward. Chapter 1642. As soon as CE finished speaking, Officer Fong, who was holding a glass of wine to toast CE, didn't forget to toast the people around him. When CE said the last sentence, Officer Fong was still holding a glass of wine to toast the people around him. At the same time, Officer Fong had already put the glass to his mouth and took a small sip of wine. The wine was still lingering in his mouth, but before he could swallow it, CE's words had already rung out. These shocking words caused Officer Fong to spit out the wine he hadn't swallowed in time. It sprayed directly onto the face of a Special Forces soldier sitting in front of him. After Officer Fong let out a sigh of relief, his expression changed drastically. He hurriedly took out pieces of tissue paper from the dining table and apologized while wiping the face of the Special Forces soldier who had been sprayed in front of him. "Sir, I'm fine." The Special Forces soldier, who had been sprayed all over, looked at Officer Fong with a fake smile and continued speaking. How could he be fine? His face was covered in the other party's saliva. Cough, cough. "It's my fault. It's my fault." Officer Fong forced an awkward smile and looked at the Special Forces with an apologetic expression. After wiping the Special Forces soldier's face, Officer Fong came back to his senses and saw that CE had already let go of Yun Jian's belly. Actually, Yun Jian had blushed and slapped away CE's hand, who had shamelessly lied in front of everyone. The dishes were served one after another. At this moment, CE wasn't holding Yun Jian's hand. Officer Fong was a little puzzled, but he didn't ask any further. Cough. He was afraid that he would ask something strange again. The Special Forces soldiers had all undergone a physical examination before entering the selection grounds. Professionals could tell if a woman was pregnant just by touching her belly during the physical examination. Therefore, Officer Fong wasn't afraid that Yun Jian would hurt her belly and have a miscarriage during the finals. Cough, cough. CE pampered Yun Jian so much. He had been holding on to Yun Jian's hand ever since he entered the room. Why did he let go now? Just as Officer Fong was puzzled, CE reached out with his slender hand. His well-defined hand held a pair of chopsticks and picked up a lobster from a plate not far away. He then placed it into his bowl. Then, he used his delicate and perfect hands to peel off the shell of the lobster. Young people these days like to eat lobsters. Lobsters live in unclean places, so it's better to eat less of them. A Special Forces soldier next to him smiled and nodded before speaking to CE. The Special Forces soldier was in his 40s and was considered old for his age. He was also very concerned about his diet and health, so he did not mean anything else when he said that to CE. Lobsters originally lived in dirty places such as smelly drains, so it was useless to eat too much of them. However, if one really liked to eat them, they could still eat them a few times. Young people these days don't know how to eat healthy food. They only care about tasty food. Old Cheng, don't try to persuade him anymore. Young people eat well. It's best to eat and drink well first. Another Special Forces soldier next to the kind-hearted Special Forces soldier chimed in. Both of them were veteran officers who had been in the army for many years. They were strong and capable. As the two of them chatted, the topic of their conversation changed to something else. CE, on the other hand, had not said a word since the beginning. His handsome face didn't look at Yun Jian. Instead, his eyes were fixed on the lobster he was peeling. Everyone around them thought that CE liked to eat lobsters. Some people liked to eat lobsters, but they were too lazy to peel them. Delicious lobsters were usually fried with oil. After peeling the lobster, one's hands would be covered in oil. It was so oily that it couldn't be washed off. Therefore, many people were too lazy to eat lobsters even if they liked them. At least, the people around them thought that CE was hardworking. Just as CE was peeling the lobster swiftly and everyone thought that he was going to swallow it, CE touched the plate of the lobster. CE dipped the lobster meat in the bottom of the plate and fed the lobster that he had painstakingly peeled to Yun Jian. Xiao Jian, eat. He looked at her gently, showing a tenderness that he only showed to her. The people around them were surprised. Chapter 1643. Yun Jian loved to eat prawns and lobsters. However, she rarely ate lobsters because the shell was hard to remove. This was because Xiao Yunju had once fed Yun Jian the lobster he had painstakingly peeled. Yun Jian pinched Xiao Yunju's tender cheeks. Ce only found out about it then. Therefore, when the dishes were served today, Ce peeled the lobsters as soon as he saw them. He peeled it very carefully, peeling off all the hard shells without leaving a single trace. If one were to ask if Ce was a very hard-working person, the answer would be no. Ce never peeled lobsters himself. In fact, he had never eaten lobsters that were fished out of smelly drains before. However, ever since he saw Yun Jian eat the lobsters Xiao Yunju had peeled for her, she revealed a satisfied expression. She even pinched Xiao Yunju's cheeks. Ce was moved. In order to peel lobsters for Yun Jian, he had specially researched lobsters. Therefore, Ce quickly finished peeling off the shell of the lobster and delivered it to Yun Jian's mouth. Yun Jian was shocked. She glanced sideways at Ce. However, as she watched Ce, she bit, chewed, and swallowed the lobster. During this process, Yun Jian kept staring at Ce's face. Although she didn't express her emotions, Yun Jian's heart was filled with warmth. It was as if her entire body was enveloped by something called warmth. "Is it delicious?" Ce's warm voice sounded. His words were filled with warmth. He looked at Yun Jian with his easygoing eyes. It was as if even the coldest snow mountain could be melted by his eyes. Yun Jian lowered her head slightly. She blushed and nodded gently. "It's delicious. I really like this taste." She had never told anyone that she liked lobsters. However, Ce knew about it. Yun Jian didn't know how Ce knew that she liked lobsters. However, Yun Jian wasn't stupid. She thought about it carefully. When she was eating the lobsters that Xiao Yunju had peeled for her, she had pinched Xiao Yunju's cheeks with a blissful look on her face. At that time he was there too. He must have seen it then. Yun Jian didn't expect Ce to be able to observe her in such detail. Therefore, she was touched at this moment. When she had been the king of secret agents, slaying God, she had never trusted anyone easily. No one had ever observed her every move and knew her every word and action in order to understand her better. There had been people who had observed her every move and grasped her words and actions to the fullest extent, but they had done so in order to kill her. Someone like Ce, who only wanted to make her eat happily, had never appeared before. After feeding her the lobster, Ce peeled another one. He removed the shell of the lobster and placed the meat into Yun Jian's bowl. Everyone at the same table could feel how much Ce doted on Yun Jian. They were speechless when they saw how much Ce spoiled Yun Jian. By the end of the meal, Yun Jian's mouth was stained with lobster oil. Yun Jian loved good food. She had been like this in her previous life. However, she had never revealed this hobby in front of outsiders. Coincidentally, Ce knew about it. When Yun Jian had finished all the lobsters, Ce wiped his perfect and slender hands with tissue paper. "The two of you are so lovey-dovey. Haha. We old men can't take it anymore." When they left, the Special Forces soldiers laughed and teased Yun Jian and Ce. In the end, only Yun Jian, Ce, and a few others were left. Yun Jian caught a glimpse of Ce's hand. Because he had peeled a plate of lobsters, his perfect fingers were red from the hard shell of the lobster. However, Ce didn't say a word of dissatisfaction. Seeing this, Yun Jian's heart skipped a beat. She reached out and held Ce's large hand. Chapter 1644. Ce was sometimes funny and shameless to the extreme. Although sometimes, Yun Jian was too embarrassed to say that she knew him. However, Yun Jian knew that Ce cared about her, which was why he sometimes acted so childishly. Thinking of this, Yun Jian revealed a blissful smile. To be able to meet Ce after her rebirth was her greatest happiness in every lifetime. Whether it was when she was the sorcerer goddess in her previous life or now as Yun Jian, she wanted to be with him forever. Until death. When Yun Jian returned to the Taekwondo dojo, Ce accompanied her all the way. Yun Jian stayed in the hotel on the third floor of the Taekwondo dojo and shared a room with Luo Mei. Su Mei and Nan Linlin shared a room. The contestants were not allowed to change their rooms or go out to find another place to stay during the competition, so Yun Jian naturally could not go out with Ce. Therefore, Ce also booked a room on the third floor of the Taekwondo dojo, which was not far from Yun Jian's room. Of course, Mo Sen did not dare to stay with Ce, so he stayed next to Ce. The night continued to spread. At 10 o'clock in the evening, there were 2 beds in their hotel room. Yun Jian slept on the one by the window while Luo Mei slept on the one by the bathroom. Where are you going? Yun Jian sensed Luo Mei walking towards the door. In the darkness, although her eyes were closed, she suddenly opened her mouth the moment Luo Mei walked towards the door. Luo Mei originally wanted to sneak out by herself, but she did not expect to be discovered by Yun Jian. Luo Mei originally thought that Yun Jian was asleep, so her movements were light when she went out. However, Yun Jian's voice suddenly rang out, which startled Luo Mei. Ah, you scared me. You're not asleep yet? I want to take a walk on the rooftop. I can't sleep, Luo Mei said to Yun Jian after she calmed down and patted her chest in fright. After a while, Yun Jian's voice sounded faintly. After a pause, Yun Jian nodded and said, Don't go back too late. It's not safe. Yes. I was just going for a walk. I'll be back soon. Hearing that Yun Jian cared about her, Luo Mei was moved for a while and nodded vigorously. Luo Berry was born in a wealthy family. Her family was very rich. For example, her family was so rich that they could buy dozens of helicopters in one go. They were also the aristocratic families that people often talked about. Although Luo Mei was the eldest daughter of a wealthy family, she was usually very lonely. Her mother was a strong career woman, and her father was the chairman of a company. The 2 of them took turns to go on business trips, and the only one who took care of Luo Berry was the nanny at home. But as a nanny, how good could she be to a person? Lubi had been very lonely since she was young. Because of her good family background, many children were unwilling to make friends with her. Some time ago, even her best friend had left her. The reason was that her best friend's boyfriend saw that Luo Mei's family background was good, so he forced her to break up with her best friend to pursue her. Luo Mei naturally didn't agree, but after she rejected the pursuit of her best friend's ex-boyfriend, she went to find her best friend. Luo Mei still remembered that day. After she found her best friend, she tried to reach out to her best friend, but she gave her a resounding slap on the spot. In front of everyone, she called her a whore and said that she could steal other people's boyfriends just because she was rich. That was why Luo Mei came to the selection field without hesitation. She wanted to let herself forget the past that she didn't want to remember in the painful training. After hearing Yun Jian's concern, Luo Mei was very moved. At this moment, she had already left the hotel room and walked to the rooftop. The Taekwondo dojo only had 3 floors, but the rooftop was very big and the decoration was very good. Luo Mei's heart was low, and she had already reached the top of the rooftop. Just as Luo Mei opened the door of the rooftop, she bumped into a slender figure. Chapter 1645. When Luo Berry met Mo Sen, she was really shocked. She originally just wanted to go to the rooftop to relax. It was already very late at 10 o'clock in the evening. Most of the people in the Taekwondo dojo were already asleep. Luo Berry actually felt so bad that she wanted to cry, but she was afraid that crying in the room would wake Yun Jian up or scare Yun Jian, so she ran to the rooftop. Luo Berry's best friend had played with Luo Berry since they were young. The 2 of them had been friends for 11 years. In the past, Luo Berry always believed that only her best friend did not care about her outstanding family background and played with her as usual. However, after that incident, she was completely hurt. Even though she had been in the selection field for so long, sometimes she would run out and cry when she was upset. This would make her feel that life was actually just like that, and that crying would be fine. She did not need to let anyone know that she was crying. Luo Berry did not like to be seen crying. She was like her mother. Even if she bled and broke bones in front of outsiders, she would not shed a single tear. When she walked to the rooftop just now, the door to the stairs to the rooftop was mysterious. Luo Berry did not think much and opened the door, but she saw Mo Sen at a glance. When she saw Mo Sen for the first time, and it was also late at night, Luo Berry was so scared that she took a step back. Her legs went soft and she fell directly to the stairs. However, before Luo Berry fell, Mo Sen reacted naturally and reached out his hand to grab Luo Berry, who was about to fall down the stairs, and pulled her to him. Mo Sen was a very gentleman. He would not take this opportunity to pull Luo Berry into his arms and take advantage of her. Even if Mo Sen admitted that when he first saw Luo Berry, he knew that Luo Berry's appearance was very much to his taste. Be careful. After Mo Sen pulled Luo Berry, He stabilized Luo Berry on the spot. Then he said these two words to Luo Berry without any change in his expression. Thank you. Luo Berry was so scared that her expression changed instantly. She thought that she was going to fall. However, Emo-sen held her at the same time. This was the second time he helped her. Luo Berry thanked him. You're welcome. Be careful. After Emo-sen said these two words, his expression did not change at all. He turned around with a cold face and was about to leave. You! Luo Berry called out to Emo-sen again. Emo-sen had just gone down the first step. Thank you for what happened during the day. Luo Berry bowed to Emo-sen and said, be careful in the future. If you're too naive, you'll be killed easily. Emo-sen did not say anything else, but this sentence was a little cruel to Rockberry. Anyway, thank you. Lowberry nodded heavily at Emo Sr. And Luo Berries. Berry heaved a sigh of relief and found a spot on the rooftop to sit down. She looked up at the twinkling stars in the sky. SSS2's Azaz's too. At home, she was doted on by her parents. At school, she had friends to take care of her. Everyone cared for each other. SS. After returning home, she could only face the empty house and walk to school alone. Her best friend whom she had played with for 11 years scolded her for being a whore. But now that he thought about it, he felt heartache. SS's. Looking at the stars in the sky, one by one, they snuggled together. The tears in Luo Berry's eyes flowed out. Fortunately, everyone was asleep at this time. Luo Berry was a strong person. She did not want to show her weakness in front of others. But in the dark, she would cry. Like all young girls in their youth, she would bear her own pain alone. After crying for about 20 minutes, Luo Berry did not make any sound when she cried. When she was tired from crying, Luo Berry stood up and went back to her hotel room as usual. Suddenly, a man's voice sounded in her ear. Stop crying. Luo Berry stood up and saw Emo-sen standing beside her. She was so scared that she took a big step back and asked on the spot. You. Why haven't you left? You. How long have you been standing here? Luo Berry was most afraid of people seeing her weak side. So the moment she saw Emo-sen, her expression changed drastically. Chapter 1646. From the beginning, Emo-sen said simply. He had been standing beside Luo Berry since she started crying. However, Emo-sen knew how to restrain his aura, so Luo Berry didn't notice him. Then, Emo-sen handed Luo Berry a piece of tissue paper again. Wipe yourself. Thank you. Luo Berry took the tissue paper from Emo-sen awkwardly. She saw Emo-sen turn around and leave after giving her the tissue paper. Luo Berry couldn't help but call out to him. Can you not tell anyone about what happened just now? She didn't want others to know about her weak side. Emo-sen's footsteps paused. After finishing his last sentence, he walked away without looking back. I didn't see anything. Did that mean he wouldn't tell anyone? Luo Berry heard Emo-sen's words and shouted at him again. Thank you. When Luo Berry returned to the hotel room, Yun Jian had already fallen asleep. The next morning, the Taekwondo channel's business was booming. The door was so crowded that it was impossible to enter. It was mainly because some people with big mouths spread the news that 20 Special Forces soldiers were going to have a one-on-one fight here. Countless locals came here to see the Special Forces soldiers in a one-on-one fight. Lin Kuan and his group came here early in the morning. Lin Kuan mainly felt that his strength was on par with Yun Jian's. He came here to see what kind of realm Yun Jian could reach. There are so many people. Luo Berry woke up early. Her eyes were red from crying last night and she had already used ice water to cool them down. She was shocked by the crowd when she came out of the hotel room. Yun Jian's voice sounded indifferently. Ce and Emo-sen came over at this time. Luo Berry looked into the distance and could clearly feel Emo-sen's gaze on her from behind Ce. At first, she unconsciously turned her head to glance at the gaze that was staring at her. However, when she realized that Emo-sen was really staring at her, she was so scared that she turned her head away and didn't dare to look at him again. The first round of the preliminaries is about to begin. 006, 057, get on stage." Someone ran over from afar and shouted for Yunjian and Su Mei to get on stage. Yunjian glanced at Ce before walking over with Su Mei. "Good luck." Luo Mei didn't participate, but when she saw that Yunjian and Su Mei were about to leave, she waved to Yunjian and Su Mei and made a cheering gesture. This time, the competition would be in the form of drawing lots. In the first round of the competition, there were a total of 20 people, and everyone had to draw a lot. The numbers were from 1 to 10, and each piece of white paper was marked with numbers from 1 to 10. There were a total of 20 lots. The numbers from 1 to 10 would appear twice, so there would be a total of 20 lots. In these 20 lots, 2 people would draw one. Then, these 2 people would be the opponents of each other. The winner would then continue to battle the next day, and the loser would be eliminated on the spot. Yunjian drew a 6 again, while Su Mei drew a 9. This competition was organized according to the order. The 2 people who drew 1 would fight each other, and they would take turns. By the time it was Yunjian's turn, the whole place was in an uproar. Yunjian was the youngest, but everyone present had seen how arrogant Yunjian was yesterday. So, they were all very excited to see Yunjian's strength. What was even more exciting was that Zhou Duanjing, who had challenged Yunjian yesterday, was the first person to go up against Yunjian. Holding the number 6, Zhou Duanjing glared at Yunjian fiercely and walked to the temporary arena where he was facing Yunjian. The arena was more than a meter above the ground. 006. Looks like you're quite lucky. Wait a moment, I'll kick you out of the preliminaries. Zhou Duanjing glared at Yunjian and said fiercely. Yunjian didn't reply to Zhou Duanjing. At this moment, everyone around looked at the scene in front of them excitedly. It wasn't until Officer Fong solemnly announced the start of the battle that Zhou Duanjing shouted and pounced on Yunjian. He wanted to kick Yunjian out of the arena with one punch. Yunjian didn't move. Is she scared out of her wits? Someone asked in surprise. Get out of the preliminaries. Zhou Duanjing had already come to Yunjian's side. However, just as Zhou Duanjing's fist was about to reach Yunjian just tilted her body sideways and dodged Zhou Duanjing's punch. In a second, she flashed behind Zhou Duanjing, stood behind him, and kicked Zhou Duanjing off the stage, ending the competition. It was so fast that the naked eye couldn't see when Yunjian came behind Zhou Duanjing. It was really just a second. Yunjian won this battle in a second. At this moment, everyone's eyes widened, and their faces changed rapidly. How did Yunjian win just like that? Officer Fong had just announced the start of the competition? How did it end? Didn't it just start? Some people were so scared that they didn't even have time to react. How did it end just as it started? Yunjian really won so easily? The competition hadn't even started yet. Chapter 1647. It was really 1 second. Yunjian kicked Zhou Duanjing off the stage in 1 second, and at the same time ended Zhou Duanjing's delusional thoughts of representing Z country to the hunting organization. If it wasn't for Zhou Duanjing's arrogance, Yunjian wouldn't have let him off the stage in such a pathetic state. It was because of Zhou Duanjing's arrogance that Yunjian directly finished him off, causing Zhou Duanjing to lose face for the rest of his life. Being kicked off the stage in 1 second by a teenage girl, Zhou Duanjing couldn't care less about the pain. He scrambled up from the ground, but he didn't have the face to stay there anymore, so he turned and ran away. There was a dead silence in the surroundings. Everyone was waiting to see the battle between Yunjian and Zhou Duanjing. However, this battle had ended before it even started. The final result was Yunjian's instant victory. Instant victory over a male Special Forces soldier who was ranked within the top 20 in the country. Yunjian's ability was beyond everyone's expectations. It was something that they had never expected. Hence, Lin Kuan, who saw this scene, sat up straight. His eyes were wide open, as if he had seen a ghost. Originally, Lin Kuan had vowed to Yunjian that he wanted to be friends with Yunjian, because he thought that his ability was only higher than Yunjian's. However, at that moment, Lin Kuan felt Zhou Duanjing's power. More specifically, he felt Yunjian's ability. Just now, when Zhou Duanjing threw a punch at Yunjian, if it was Lin Kuan, he probably wouldn't even have the ability to withstand that punch. In spite of it, Yunjian had dodged Zhou Duanjing's punch. That wasn't all. She actually went from Zhou Duanjing's front to Zhou Duanjing's back in just a second and kicked Zhou Duanjing off the stage. Lin Kuan's shock couldn't be described with words. In comparison, the few special forces soldiers who were in Zhou Duanjing's group didn't look too good. After the silence in the crowd, a huge wave of applause erupted for Yun Jian. Good, good, good. Too amazing. This is an instant victory. This little girl has a bright future ahead of her. Based on this strength, I reckon there's hope for him to enter the top 3. The public who had ridiculed Yun Jian for not being able to win immediately turned to Yun Jian's side. Now, all that was left was their high praise and confidence for Yun Jian. Su Mei and Luo Berry stood in the distance. Because Su Mei had drawn the number 9, she was not in a hurry to go on stage. 006 is too awesome. 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 Luo Mei was standing beside Su Mei. When she saw that Yun Jian had accepted the challenge, she was more excited than anyone else. She looked at Yun Jian, who was standing in the arena, and reached out to touch Su Mei's arm. Sister Jiang, she won. I knew she would win. Luo Mei said as she shook Su Mei's hand. She was so excited that she almost jumped up. Cough, cough. A muffled cough came from the side. It was a magnetic male voice. Luo Berry held her hand and had just recovered from her excitement. She raised her head and looked to the right, only to see Mo Sen's handsome side profile. Where's Sister Jiang? Luo Berry suddenly realized that she was holding Mo Sen's hand. She was so shocked that she quickly let go and asked, I'm here. Su Mei was standing beside Luo Berry just now, but she had walked away. When she saw that Luo Berry had held the wrong person, Su Mei said awkwardly. Luo Berry's face suddenly turned as red as an apple. Yun Jian stood in the arena. Just as she was about to leave the arena, she saw Ce, who was standing below the arena, jump onto the arena with one leg. He held Yun Jian's hand and walked down. The arena was open to the audience. Hence, the scene of Ce holding Yun Jian's hand and leaving the arena was exposed to the audience. Ce seemed to be holding Yun Jian's hand and walking down the arena after declaring his sovereignty. In addition to Ce's unbelievably handsome looks, Yun Jian's pretty face was a perfect match for him. The degree of compatibility between the two of them made the audience below scream. Oh my God, there are actually 2 people who are so compatible in this world. They are so loving. Chapter 1648. Ce was completely oblivious to the cheers and screams of the crowd below as he grabbed Yun Jian's hand and walked down the ring. Ce was currently wearing a black leather jacket with a simple white casual shirt underneath and a pair of black jeans. From the back, Ce was dressed in black from head to toe. His short hair was very eye-catching. Standing at 1.85 meters tall, he looked like a movie star from the back. He was so handsome that even if he tried to hide his brilliance, it could not hide his dashing side. Yun Jian was wearing an extremely loose sportswear that matched her upper body and lower body in black and white. Coupled with her high ponytail and extremely slim figure, Ce could not help but feel a sense of relief. Ce held Yun Jian's hand as they walked forward. Looking at them from the back, their compatibility could be felt just by looking at them. What was more, Ce's swift movement when he leaped into the ring and his indulgent gaze that only had Yun Jian in his eyes. Just now, Ce had grabbed Yun Jian's hand and walked out of the ring. It was only a split second, but it had the audience's eyes popping out of their sockets. Words like handsome man and beautiful woman were no longer enough to describe how compatible Yun Jian and Ce were. Young master. Mo Sen lowered his head at Ce when he saw Ce coming over. Go back first. Ce did not look at Mo Senator. He held Yun Jian's hand and walked around Mo Sen and the others to leave, leaving Mo Sen with these words before he left. An Hun group was busy, especially Ce, who was the leader of an Hun. He was busier than anyone else. In spite of it, Ce would not leave for the next few days. He had to accompany Yun Jian to get a spot in the hunting school and watch Yun Jian win. There was nothing more important than his woman. Xiao Jian was more precious to him than anything else. She was one of a kind. He asked Mo Sen to go back first because he wanted Mo Sen to go back to An Hun to deal with the organization's affairs. Yes. Mo Sen responded to Ce's order without any change in his expression. At this moment, Ce had already pulled Yun Jian's hand and left the Taekwondo dojo. After listening to Ce's order, Mo-sen sent a message to the helicopter pilot who had sent him and CE here before walking out of the Taekwondo dojo. The live broadcast was still ongoing. The audience was still watching the one-on-one battle between the Special Forces soldiers. Other than Yun Jian, there was no one else who could defeat the opponent within a second. Most of the Special Forces needed about half an hour to determine the winner. There were some who were more outstanding, but compared to Yun Jian, they were not worth mentioning. Seeing that Mo-sen was about to leave, Berry opened her mouth and shouted, You're leaving? In such a noisy Taekwondo dojo, Mo-sen heard Rockberry's shout immediately. Luo Berry's appearance suited Mo-sen's taste very well, and her voice was very recognizable to Mo Senator. Even if he didn't deliberately listen to her, he could still hear her voice in such a noisy scene. Yes. Mo-sen was a man of few words. Then you won't appear again? Luo Mei was confused and felt a sense of loss. Yes. Mo-sen still answered with one word. When Luo Berry heard this, she was disappointed. However, the two of them had never interacted before. This meeting was just a coincidence. Whether they would meet again in the future would depend on fate. Oh, be careful then. Luo Berry said to Mo-sen dejectedly. Anyone would be able to sense the sense of loss that he was feeling. Be careful? Worried about him? Mo-sen's footsteps paused slightly. He paused for a moment before leaving. Then he softly left behind an before walking away without looking back. Mo-sen was different from Adam. Although Mo-sen and Adam were biological brothers, Adam would do anything to keep the things he liked. However, Mo-sen was different. Mo-sen was not good with words when it came to the things he liked. At least, that was what Mo-sen thought before this. His and Adam's lives were given by the young master, so their lives belonged to the young master. People had to learn to be grateful, and Mo-sen was the same. Looking at Mo-sen's slender figure, Luo Berry's eyes darkened, and she didn't look anymore. The Taekwondo dojo was still going on with the competition. CE brought Yun Jian directly to a sea of flowers. There was no end in sight, and there was some natural beauty. Trees, mountains, rivers, everything was natural scenery, and nothing could be more beautiful. When CE brought Yun Jian here, Yun Jian saw hot air balloons one after another not far away. She was slightly stunned. However, she heard CE's magnetic male voice, and his breath sprayed on her head. Do you like it? Chapter 1649. This was a sea of flowers, and the surroundings were colorful. It was so beautiful that it was like a paradise on earth, with a kind of natural beauty. CE held Yun Jian's hand as they slowly walked over. Yun Jian looked around before looking up at CE. Where are we? We can travel all over the place in the hot air balloon. Do you like the beautiful scenery we found yesterday? CE asked again. As he spoke, he had already wrapped his slender arm around Yun Jian's waist. He lowered his head and looked at Yun Jian as though he was asking for Yun Jian's opinion. Seeing CE's expectant expression, she wanted to write, "Hurry up and praise me. Hurry up and praise me," on Yun Jian's face. It was an innocent smile. She nodded at CE. Yeah, I like it a lot. Hearing that she liked it, CE broke into a smile. He held Yun Jian's hand and walked over to the uncle who was releasing the hot air balloon. This area of hot air balloons had been built by the uncle in front of them and a few investors who had partnered with him. There were many hot air balloons floating in the sky. There were many couples around and it was very crowded. The hot air balloon here was not the kind of hot air balloon that had a fixed location. It would float the tourists across the endless sea of flowers and slowly land on the opposite side of the river. Although it looked exciting, it was very safe. Hence, there were many tourists coming and going and many people riding the hot air balloons. In the blink of an eye, there were only 1 or 2 free hot air balloons left. Don't rush, don't rush. Everyone, don't rush. Take your time. We've already contacted the warehouse to deliver the hot air balloons to everyone. Come one by one, don't rush. The owner of the hot air balloon, the uncle, was waving his hand to signal the passengers to not rush and that the hot air balloons would be delivered from the warehouse soon. In reality, the weather had been good and the sun was shining brightly over the past few days, so there were many people riding the hot air balloons. As a result, there were not enough hot air balloons. There were many people lining up for the hot air balloon. Ce held Yunjian's hand as they lined up, enjoying the feeling of lining up. He did not use any of his identities to drive away the surrounding people, nor did he directly contract the venue. Instead, he held Yunjian's hand and lined up like an ordinary couple, waiting in line to sit in the hot air balloon. The queue lasted for an entire afternoon. By the time it was Yunjian and Ce's turn to ride the hot air balloon, it was already evening. Come, it's your turn to be a couple. Come up quickly. The old man waved at Yunjian and Ce. They're husband and wife. Ce corrected the old man as he waved his hand. Ahem. So young. So they were husband and wife. This little girl is so young, but she has a husband who dotes on her. This way. Just step on it. When the old man heard Ce's words, he flashed his big yellow teeth and smiled. Then, he gestured for Yunjian and Ce to board the hot air balloon. The hot air balloon's temperature was controlled very well. Therefore, only a young couple usually sat in the hot air balloon. Because there were handles on the hot air balloon, if one wanted to land, they just had to pull the handle off. When Ce and Yunjian boarded the hot air balloon, the old man stuck his head out and smiled at Yunjian. Then he said to Ce with a sneaky look, "Young man, when you're at the highest point of the hot air balloon, give your wife a kiss, and I promise you'll be together for a long time. Let's go." After the old man finished his last sentence, he released the string tied to the hot air balloon. The hot air balloon immediately floated up from the ground and ascended into the sky. Chapter 1650. Yunjian heard what the old man said to Ce, but she didn't take it seriously. This old man actually wanted Ce to kiss her when the hot air balloon was at its highest point? Yunjian didn't see the smile on Ce's face. She also didn't take the old man's words to heart. Instead, she placed her hands on the railing of the hot air balloon. She wasn't afraid that she would fall if she stayed close to the railing. Yunjian stood at the edge of the railing. The wind whistled past, blowing her long straight ponytail. Yunjian stood against the wind. The wind was too strong. She squinted her eyes slightly and enjoyed the coolness of standing on the hot air balloon. Ce stood beside Yunjian. He leaned against the railing with his back facing Yunjian. He sized her up with his sharp eyes and stared fixedly at her. The hot air balloon was still on the verge of falling as it ascended, but Yunjian and Ce weren't afraid at all. "Ah, it's so scary. I want to go down. I want to go down. Would he fall? It's too scary. I don't want to stay on the hot air balloon anymore." There were 3 or 4 people standing on the hot air balloon next to them. They stood side by side with Yunjian and Ce for a while. A woman on the hot air balloon was hiding in the basket of the hot air balloon. She didn't even dare to move. She looked as if she was afraid that the hot air balloon she was sitting on would fall. No matter how the people around her pulled and pulled, the woman acted as if she was about to fall and die. She was so scared that her eyes kept rolling back. Look at the couple next door. They aren't scared at all. Why are you so scared? You're even making a fuss. Don't you feel embarrassed? On the hot air balloon next to Yunjian's, a man was lecturing the woman who was so scared that her eyes were rolling back. However, the woman squatted down and hugged the basket of the hot air balloon. The hot air balloon flew high, and it did not have a rocket launcher like an airplane, nor was it like a Ferris wheel. At least, there was a pillar that was close to the ground to support the entire set. Sitting in a hot air balloon gave people the feeling that they were floating in the air, which made them feel extremely insecure. Not long after, the hot air balloon that was flying alongside Yunjian and Ce chose to descend. It was probably not going to play anymore. On the other hand, Yunjian and Ce's hot air balloon gradually rose higher and higher until the people standing on the ground felt as if they were about to fly into the clouds. The heat of the hot air balloon only lasted for a short while. It rose to its highest point and then began to gradually decrease. Ce sized up Yunjian. This made Yunjian shy for a moment. Why do you keep looking at me? There was no one here, but it had risen to the highest point. Yunjian was a little shy as Ce kept staring at her. Ce had always been a person who was not good with words. He was not good with sweet nothings and did not know how to do romantic things. It was rare for him to be romantic today. Just as Yunjian lowered her head, feeling shy from Ce's stare, Ce suddenly said, "Xiao Jian, I love you." She was shocked by Siyi's words. He had barely mentioned words like, and love in the past, let alone saying, I love you in a situation like this. The hot air balloon was already at maximum power and hovered at the highest point, where the clouds could be seen just by looking up. Before Yunjian could react, Siyi suddenly placed his hand on the railing of the hot air balloon and tugged at the rope that was tied to the basket, purposely creating a bump for the basket without letting Yunjian notice. Yunjian lost her footing and fell straight into Siyi's arms. Siyi caught Yunjian's body and lowered his head, bending slightly to press his lips against Yunjian's soft ones, biting away the petals of Yunjian's lips intimately. Yunjian did not react in time and was kissed head-on. Blinking, her long lashes fluttered, but she did not reject Siyi's kiss. Chapter 1651. They were in the sky. How dare he? Yunjian slapped Siyi's pig-trotter hand away. She pressed her hand against the spot in front of her chest and Siyi's chest. Xiaojian, let me touch. Siyi released Yunjian's lips playfully and made a shameless request to Yunjian. Don't. Yunjian refused. In the end, she could not win against Siyi. In the end, Siyi reached his hand into her bra through her skin. After getting off the hot air balloon, Yunjian ignored Siyi and walked forward alone. He had actually acted so bashfully in front of her on the hot air balloon just now. Yunjian did not want to talk about his bashful behavior anymore. Xiaojian, what's wrong? Siyi came over to hold Yunjian's hand as usual and turned to ask her. Yunjian did not fling Siyi's hand away, but she ignored him. Did I touch you just now? Before Siyi could finish, Yunjian tiptoed to cover Siyi's mouth. Talk again and you're not allowed to do this in the future, Yunjian told Siyi. To Siyi, her words sounded coquettish, causing Siyi's lips to curl into a pretty smile. Did she mean that he could still treat her like this in the future? Seeing Yunjian fling his hand away softly and walking away, Siyi's lips curled up before he chased after Yunjian. Every Special Forces soldier was only allowed to fight once a day. A total of 10 Special Forces soldiers were eliminated in today's one-on-one battle. Among the candidates recommended by Principal Ma, other than Yunjian, only Su Mei was not eliminated. The rest, be it Su Wenming, Wang Buren, or Dong Xiu, were eliminated. The next day's battle was a 5 versus 5 battle. Yunjian did not perform outstandingly on the second day, but after a few minutes of sparring, she kicked her opponent out of the ring and declared her victory. On the third day, there were only 5 people left. These 5 people were Yunjian, Su Mei, Wu Ningnai, and 2 other men whose names were unknown. 2 women made it to the final round of this year's qualifier. This made the audience a little surprised. After all, it was always the men who made it to the end in the previous qualifiers. Women were weaker than men, so the chances of them making it to the final round were slim. But this year, there were actually 2 women who made it to the final round, which made the people present doubt again. Could Yunjian and Su Mei really make it to the top 3? In the last round of the competition, there were a total of 5 people. The 5 of them would take turns to fight. This meant that Yunjian would have to fight the remaining 4 people who made it to the last 4 rounds. Everyone had to fight 4 rounds. After the 4 rounds, whoever won the most rounds would be the winner. This meant that Yunjian would have to fight Su Mei. 006. Use all your strength to fight me. I won't let you win. Of course, don't let me win. Su Mei was full of fighting spirit. She smiled and said to Yunjian. Definitely. Yunjian pursed her lips and turned her head back to her. Naturally, she would not let Su Mei win. At this moment, the final battle was about to begin. Yunjian's first opponent was Wu Ningnai. At this moment, Wu Ningnai stared at Yunjian with hatred. You made my brother look bad. Today, I will let you know what the gap in strength is. Zhou Duan, who was kicked off the stage by Yunjian, was Wu Ningnai's brother. At this moment, Wu Ningnai was very confident in himself. Yunjian narrowed her eyes. Just as she was about to say something, bang! There was a loud noise. In the ring, a white smoke bomb was suddenly thrown up and exploded in the ring. Then, the surroundings were filled with smoke. Oh, hee hee hee. A snake-like female voice was heard. The crowd saw a woman with a perfect body standing before them. She was one. 7 meters tall and had a voluptuous figure. The woman who suddenly appeared held a whip in her hand. After laughing, she used the whip to whip Wu Nongnai and threw him off the stage. Then, the woman met Yun Jian's eyes. In front of Zhou Duanjing, Qi Feng, Nan Linlin, Lin Kuan, and the rest, she mocked Yun Jian. Slaying God, the #1 secret agent on the international secret agent ranking, is actually fighting with this bunch of trash. If this gets out, people will laugh themselves to death. The #1 secret agent on the international secret agent ranking. Slaying God? Yun Jian? Everyone's expression changed when they heard the woman's words. They thought that Yun Jian would deny it. However, the moment Yun Jian saw the woman in the ring, she narrowed her eyes and smirked slightly. She did not need to guess to identify the woman. Chapter 1652. When this voluptuous woman appeared out of nowhere and pointed out that Yun Jian was slaying God, the king of secret agents on the international secret agent leaderboard, no one could react in time. They were all stunned on the spot. Slaying God, the #1 secret agent on the international secret agent leaderboard? To some people, this title was something that they would never be able to touch in their lifetime. This was the kind of gap that an ordinary person would never be able to come into contact with a national leader. To the crowd, it was impossible for Slaying God, the #1 secret agent on the international secret agent leaderboard, to appear here. She was someone on the secret agent leaderboard. She was someone who could kill. Therefore, when the crowd heard Lang Mei's words, they were all stunned for a moment. However, before the crowd could react, Yun Jian had already met Lang Mei's eyes and pointed out her identity in front of the crowd. This caused the crowd, who had yet to recover from their shock, to be fiercely shocked once again. Blood Doll. 006, the Blood Doll that you're talking about, could it be the latest assassin organization in Southeast Asia? It said that it rose at lightning speed and swept through all the assassin organizations in Southeast Asia. In the end, it became the #1 assassin organization in Southeast Asia. Its position is feared internationally. Chief Feng stood next to the ring. Lang Mei had thrown a smoke grenade without any warning. His field of vision was obscured by the smoke grenade. When his field of vision returned to normal, Chief Feng saw the voluptuous Lang Mei standing in the ring. She was dressed a little skimpily, but her private parts were completely covered. Based on what Yun Jian had said earlier, the woman who suddenly appeared in front of everyone was the #1 expert under the Blood Doll leader, Lang Mei. Rumor had it that the #1 expert under the Blood Doll leader, Lang Mei, was an expert in using a whip. Her whip was accurate and she only needed one whip to kill someone. Her ability was amazing. Even if she was not on the international secret agent or assassin leaderboard, her skills were almost on par with them. To be honest, when Lang Mei said that Yun Jian was the #1 secret agent on the international secret agent leaderboard, Slaying God, not many believed her, especially Chief Feng and the others. After all, Yun Jian's age was obvious and she was Officer Ge's daughter. How could she be Slaying God, the top secret agent in the world? But just by looking at her cold demeanor, the way she appeared, and the way she whipped Wu Nongnai off the stage, her swift and fierce skills. The identity of Lang Mei, the #1 expert under the Blood Doll's leader, was a given. Yun Jian didn't answer Officer Feng's question. When Lang Mei heard Chief Feng call Yun Jian 006, he was first stunned. Then, he laughed and continued to speak to Yun Jian. 006. Slaying God. This is the same serial number as when you first joined in Hun. Lang Mei clearly knew everything about Yun Jian. Hearing Chief Feng call Yun Jian 006, Lang Mei took the opportunity to ask questions. After the surrounding people knew Lang Mei's identity, they were all scared witless. Just when the crowd thought that Yun Jian would back off, Lang Mei didn't say anything. Unexpectedly, Yun Jian ignored Lang Mei's words. She lowered her gaze slightly and looked up at Lang Mei with her piercing gaze. Her smile was blurry, as if her every frown was laced with murderous intent. With a faint smirk, Yun Jian suddenly opened and closed her hand in front of the audience, including Lin Kuan, Zhou Duanjing, Nan Linlin, and the rest. A butterfly knife suddenly appeared in her hand. Yun Jian took 2 steps toward Lang Mei. At that moment, she looked like a demon from hell in front of the crowd. She smiled at Lang Mei indifferently. Chapter 1653. Yun Jian's words were clearly heard by all the spectators in the Taekwondo dojo. Everyone was shocked by Yun Jian's words and her confident aura. 006. You're crazy. How dare you talk to Lang Mei, the top fighter under the Blood Doll leader? Come back. We have to fight side by side. Officer Feng's face changed when he heard what Yun Jian said to Lang Mei. Was Yun Jian crazy? How dare she talk to Lang Mei like that? Lang Mei was the top fighter under the Blood Doll leader. Even if they had more than 20 special forces, they would have to think twice before dealing with her, right? But what about Yun Jian? How dare she say to Lang Mei, Blood Doll including you, will become my captive so blatantly? Was she crazy? 006 is crazy. She must be crazy. Not only will she be finished by saying such things, but she will also get everyone here killed. Zhou Duanjing was already holding a grudge against Yun Jian because she was disqualified in the preliminaries. Now that he heard Yun Jian's words, Zhou Duanjing took the opportunity to speak to the people around him in an extremely exaggerated tone. Everyone around the Taekwondo dojo panicked when Zhou Duanjing shouted. They all thought that Yun Jian would get herself killed by saying such things to Lang Mei. She's crazy. She provoked the Blood Doll organization in Southeast Asia. That's fine, but she wants to drag us down with her. We're ordinary people. If she wants to die, then she can die by herself. Why should she drag us down with her? With Zhou Duanjing's shout just now, the people around them cursed Yun Jian who was on the stage. Everyone thought that Yun Jian's behavior just now would harm everyone. Get out. Get out. What 006? Get out. Selfishness. Shameless. We don't need special forces like you in our country. There were even people who cursed at Yun Jian who was standing in the ring with chilling words. Although Yun Jian's words were arrogant, Lang Mei didn't dare to take Yun Jian's words as a joke. What a joke! She was not dumb enough to think that Yun Jian was joking when she heard slaying God's words. However, Lang Mei was stunned at this moment. She was stunned by the audience who were desperately shouting for Yun Jian to get out of the arena. However, Lang Mei only smiled coldly for a while, as if mocking the ignorant audience below. This group of selfish humans. Bang bang bang. At this moment, 3 gunshots rang out and hit the high ceiling of the Taekwondo dojo without warning. The gunshot rang out and the gun fell. When everyone reacted, they were so scared that they screamed, "Ah! Ah! Ah! Gun! You have a gun!" Before the exclamation could be heard, the crowd had already rushed out of the Taekwondo hall. However, before anyone could rush out of the Taekwondo dojo, the gunshot rang out again. This time, it landed at the entrance of the Taekwondo dojo. As the crowd passed by, they saw Ce standing at the same spot. His slender fingers were on the gun's buckle, preventing anyone from leaving the Taekwondo dojo until the screaming crowd quietened down. His cold voice was heard and his tone was even more arrogant than Yun Jian's. If you say anything bad about my woman again, don't even think about leaving this place unless you're a corpse. How could he make it sound so easy to kill someone? Moreover, the people around had only said something bad about Yun Jian and he wanted to kill someone because of it. The crowd was frightened by Ce's cold and sharp gaze. They saw Ce sweeping his gun around. His cold gaze made everyone's hearts pound in fear. At this moment, Ce's voice was heard again. If anyone says anything bad about my woman again, this will be your outcome. After that, Ce turned his gun sideways. Without even looking, he aimed the gun's muzzle at the chain hanging from the ceiling and fired a shot. The gunshot rang out and the gun fell. On the ceiling, the shot was so accurate that it broke the chain hanging from the ceiling. Chapter 1654. Ce's actions frightened everyone around him. Fortunately, there was no one standing next to the huge chandelier in the Taekwondo dojo. However, the chandelier's chain was broken by Ce's shot. The huge chandelier crashed from the ceiling to the ground, making a loud noise. The entire chandelier was smashed into pieces within a few seconds. The broken parts were unbearable to look at. If there had been anyone standing around, even if they hadn't been frightened, they would have been pierced by the glass shards that flew everywhere when the chandelier shattered. Ce's move was absolutely ruthless. It was enough to scare everyone to death. Just by looking at Xueqi's marksmanship, who in the crowd wouldn't be convinced? One shot, just one shot. He didn't even look when he shot the chandelier's chain. With such marksmanship, even if the crowd tried to escape, it was highly likely that they would be shot in the head and die. In addition, Xueqi had protected Yunjian just now. The crowd was stunned and didn't dare to say a word. Xueqi's actions were purely to give Yunjian some peace and quiet. It was a battle between Yunjian and the Blood Doll's #1 expert, Lang Mei. Officer Fong was also shocked by Xueqi's marksmanship. However, he reacted very quickly. 006. Don't do anything stupid. She is the Blood Doll's #1 expert, Lang Mei. Let's fight together. We're not afraid of her. Don't mess around by yourself. Officer Fong still didn't relent. He was worried about Yunjian, so he kept talking to Yunjian. Officer Fong knew that Yunjian was Gu Yunjian's daughter. He also had some friendship with Gu Junjian. Naturally, he couldn't just stand by and watch something happen to Yunjian. Moreover, the opponent this time was the #1 expert under the Blood Doll's leader. Lang Mei was an assassin who crawled out from a pile of corpses. Although the special forces were powerful, an assassin who crawled out from a pile of corpses was someone who didn't care about her own life. After all, the special forces were tied down. Under such circumstances, Lang Mei's strength was not something the people present could imagine. However, if more than 20 special forces soldiers worked together, it was not impossible for them to defeat Lang Mei. Duel? You want me to fight against you? After Lang Mei heard Officer Fong's words, she pointed at herself, then at Yunjian, Officer Fong, and the others. She was even suspicious for a moment. After her suspicions, Lang Mei did not wait for Officer Fong and the others to reply. She laughed maniacally as if she had heard a shocking joke. She laughed until she was out of breath. After laughing, Lang Mei came back to her senses and pointed at Yunjian. She regained her serious expression and said to the commanding officer, Zhou Duanjing, and everyone else who thought that Yunjian couldn't beat her, "Are you kidding me? I'm not a fool. Me? Fight her? She was slaying God. I don't want to lose miserably. That would be too embarrassing. I'm the #1 expert of the Blood Doll. I'm just here to deliver a letter today." Lang Mei knew her limits. She did not think that she could defeat Yunjian. After all, the difference in their abilities was obvious. "Here, this is a letter that our Blood Doll leader asked me to pass to you." Lang Mei took out a letter from her ample bra. She held the letter between her right index and middle finger and threw it toward Yunjian. The letter flew into Yunjian's hand. Yunjian narrowed her eyes and caught the letter that Lang Mei had thrown at her. Officer Fong, Zhou Duanjing, Nan Lin, and the audience below were dumbfounded when they heard Lang Mei's words. The #1 expert of the Blood Doll, Lang Mei, said that she can't beat her? Is this real or fake? Chapter 1655. Just as everyone was wondering if Lang Mei was telling the truth, Lang Mei waved at Yunjian and said, "All right, I'm done here. All right, now that I've completed the mission my leader gave me, I'm going home for my beauty sleep. Slaying God. See you next time." Lang Mei flicked the whip in her hand as she spoke. She turned to her side and extended her hand. A smoke grenade appeared in her hand and she waved it at Yunjian and the rest. After showing off the smoke grenade, Lang Mei put it to her red lips. She bit the handle of the smoke grenade with her pearly white teeth and tossed it on the ground after biting it open. She was prepared to leave the place in a few seconds. At the same time, Lang Mei said, "Let's go, slaying God. We'll meet again." A huge cloud of white smoke floated in the air. Yunjian's eyes flickered in the smoke. "Phew, we're safe. Thank goodness that Blood Doll's #1 expert isn't here to kill." Someone in the crowd exclaimed in relief when they were on the brink of death. Chief Fong and all the special forces present heaved a sigh of relief. Thank goodness that Lang Mei was only here to deliver a letter. Otherwise, there would have been casualties if they fought her. Just as everyone heaved a sigh of relief, the smoke from the white smoke grenade dissipated. Before the crowd could relax from their tense emotions, they saw Yunjian holding a woman's arm with one hand in the ring. She had easily pinned the woman's bent body under her. Upon closer inspection, this woman. Was she not Lang Mei who had said she was leaving? Why was she being pinned down by Yunjian? She was being pinned down by Yun Jian. The crowd reacted abruptly and their expressions changed again. This time, they were not shocked because Lang Mei, the Blood Doll's #1 expert, was still around. Instead, they were shocked because Yun Jian had really pinned Lang Mei down. Was what Lang Mei had said true? Could she not defeat Yun Jian? Moreover, if she were to fight with Yun Jian, she might even be defeated? Ouch, ouch, be gentle. I'm in pain from being pinned down by you. Lang Mei did not panic even though she was being pinned down by Yun Jian. She relaxed her arms since she was pinned down by Yun Jian. She could not move her arms and could only move them slightly. No, slaying god. Didn't I tell you that I'm here to deliver a letter, not to fight you? I don't dare fight you. Just let me go, will you? Madam, I'll admit defeat, okay? If Lang Mei knew that she had been captured by Yun Jian, she would not have come even if the leader had offered her 100 million USD. Moreover, it was only a mere 5 million USD salary. Where's Blood Doll's headquarters? Yun Jian asked faintly, suppressing Lang Mei. I can't say that. Lang Mei shook his head and shrugged. Then you'll stay here and be my prisoner. Yun Jian pinned Lang Mei down, not giving her a chance to stand up and fight back. Yun Jian and Lang Mei's conversation baffled the onlookers below them. What was going on? Why was Yun Jian asking about Blood Doll's headquarters? Did she really think that she was slaying God, the #1 expert on the international secret agent ranking? Even if Lang Mei said so, how was that possible? So what if she had pinned Lang Mei down? It did not mean that she was slaying God, the #1 expert on the international secret agent ranking. Just as the audience refused to believe it, two silhouettes flashed through the entrance. The two beautiful silhouettes appeared in the ring in a flash. Looking closely, it was Qing Yu and Gu Nianji. When the audience saw Qing Yu and Gu Nianji, they were shocked. Who were these two people? Chapter 1656. Calling Yun Jian Sister Jian? Everyone present was slightly surprised. These two young girls were calling Yun Jian Sister Jian. Who were the two of them? After Qing Yu and Gu Nianji shouted at Yun Jian, Qing Yu explained to Yun Jian. Sister Jian, we've chased Lang Mei all the way here but she tricked us and even made us cough. So hand her over to us. I'll write my name Qing Yu backwards if I don't get back at her for tricking us. As she spoke, Qing Yu clasped her hands together, her knuckles cracking loudly. Yun Jian knew that Qing Yu and Gu Nianji must have fought with Lang Mei once she heard what she said. Yes, yes. She tricked us into the pigsty just now. Both of us jumped into the pigsty and were almost suffocated to death. I'm so pissed. Sister Jian, you must hand Lang Mei over to us. Gu Nianji, the useless teammate, blurted out how she and Qing Yu were lured into the pigsty by Lang Mei in front of everyone. Qing Yu sighed with a hand on her forehead when she heard that. Don't. It's not that serious. Both of you jumped into the pigsty yourself. Don't blame me. Lang Mei snickered and coughed dryly before speaking to Qing Yu and Gu Nianji. Gu Nianji went over and knocked on Lang Mei's head. Then, Lang Mei was dragged away by Qing Yu and Gu Nianji. What happened just now? Could it be a farce? Someone below could not help asking when they saw Lang Mei being dragged away by Qing Yu and Gu Nianji. So the gun he used just now was a fake too? Someone turned to glance at CE and asked with a chuckle. It must be. Everything that happened just now was definitely just a farce. You gave me a fright for nothing. Haha. The Taekwondo dojo sure knows how to play. Someone else chimed in. The passing of words actually suppressed the atmosphere just now. Chief Feng was no fool. He knew that what happened just now could not be described as a farce. In the end, he did not say anything. The final round of the qualifiers began as usual. Yun Jian was fighting Wu Nengnai, but now that Lang Mei was dragged away by Qing Yu and Gu Nianji, the competition resumed. There was no doubt that Yun Jian had won. When Yun Jian fought with Su Mei, she didn't give in to her either. The other two men were no match for Yun Jian. Therefore, Yun Jian's first place was secure. Because there was a group of people watching below, Yun Jian's first place was naturally not fake. So everyone was convinced. In the end, other than Yun Jian who took the first place, the second and third place went to the two male Special Forces soldiers. Su Mei and Wu Nengnai both failed. Mei didn't feel bad about this at all. It's already beyond my expectations that I could get to 4th place today. Jian, you're amazing. Mei gave Jian a thumbs up. The qualifiers this time came to an end. It was not even a month since the competition had ended early. The 3 people who were selected were the ones who would go to the hunting academy this year. Meanwhile, Chief Fong called Jian to a corner and asked Jian in private about what happened just now. It was just an accident. You don't have to bring it up again, Chief Fong. Jian answered the question that Chief Fong wanted to know. Cough. All right. As long as you're safe. Chief Fong did not suspect that Jian was slaying God at all. He was just worried that Jian was related to Blood Doll. However, after listening to Jian's words and considering Jian's ability, Chief Fong did not say anything else. Jian did not ask any more questions after Lang Mei was pulled away by Qing Yu and Gu Nianji. She had just bid farewell to Chief Fong and was about to leave when she bumped into a meat wall. Jian bumped into Siyi's firm chest while Siyi extended his long arm and pulled Jian into his embrace. Even Officer Fong, who was already married and had a child, blushed slightly at this scene. Cough cough. Let's call it a day. You've won 1st place. Just wait for our notice. The competition is over. You can leave if you have someone to pick you up. Now that the competition was over, everyone was heading home to check on their own condition. Let's go home. Siyi's large palm held Jian's small hand as he pulled Jian out of the Taekwondo dojo. When Jian heard Siyi say, "Go home," a bashful image flashed across her mind for some reason. She coughed but did not let go of Siyi's hand as she followed Siyi out. Unknowingly, Siyi's large palm tightened around her small hand. He had the urge to toss her onto the bed and have her give birth to a bunch of children for him. He really wanted to *CK her until she could not get out of bed. He believed that he would be able to do that soon. Chapter 1657. The qualifier came to an end and the candidates were selected. Other than Jian, the other 2 male special forces were veteran special forces above the age of 40. Their capabilities were undeniably strong. Like the previous years, other than Jian who was a freak, the other 2 male special forces were above the age of 40. In the past, the youngest of the top 3 candidates who could go to the hunting school was above the age of 30. After all, the older one was the more capable one was. It was an unchanging law. Jian was already considered an anomaly. Jian had CE to pick her up, so she did not return to Min City with Chief Fong and the rest. The military academy was still in its school term and the qualifier this time took about a month. It was less than a month but it was almost time. Because sending Jian to the qualifier required a separate leave. Jian was the only one in the entire Min City military academy who had applied for leave, so Jian had to go to school once she returned to Min City. However, before she went to Min City, Jian made a trip back to Longmen City and her home. After staying a night in Longmen City, Jian returned to Min City Military Academy. Throughout the night, Ce had been hugging and rubbing against her. Cough. Other than the last step, he had done everything else. Cough cough. The next morning, Ce returned to an Hun group. Xueqi had sent a helicopter to pick him up. Before he left, Ce was still hugging Jian bashfully. After Ce left, Jian stretched lazily and got out of bed. Packing her bag, she went to Gu Yunjian's house to have a few bites of the breakfast Qin Yiru had made. There was a bowl of porridge, a tea egg, and 2 meat buns. Jian loved the taste of Qin Yiru's cooking, so she finished the food in no time. Eat slowly. Jian, you've lost weight again. You must eat well when you go to school. Don't get any thinner. My heart aches when I see you like this. Qin Yiru had just returned from Xinjiang town not long ago. Looking at Jian's thin and frail figure, she could not help but feel sorry for Jian and kept adding more porridge for her. Qin Fengfeng's situation had temporarily stabilized, but she still needed some time to deal with the divorce. These days, Qin Yiru had been by Qin Fengfeng's side. Qin Fengfeng's hurt heart had been greatly relieved. Mom, I've been eating well recently. After finishing the porridge, Jian stood up and picked up the backpack hanging on the back of the chair. She carried it on one shoulder. Mom, I'm leaving now, Yunjian said to Qin Yiru before taking the bus to Min City. Hey! Walk slowly. Qin Yiru shouted behind Yunjian. It was already the middle of October and the temperature was dropping gradually. Many people still insisted on wearing short-sleeved shirts and shorts. As the temperature dropped, the sun was still scorching during the day, but when the autumn breeze came at night, one would still be wearing short-sleeved shirts and shorts. Those who could hold on were talents. It was a little chilly in the morning, but the air was fresh. Yunjian wore a pair of shorts and a short-sleeved top. Her high ponytail made her look spirited. Seeing that her classmates had already dismissed their classes and Yunjian had only rushed back to school the day after, classes were still going on as usual. Seeing that Yunjian was back, Lin Wan, who had not seen Yunjian for a month, sprung up from her seat and rushed over to hug her. Mu Ying, who was beside her, beamed at Yunjian as well. She's back in less than a month. She must have been eliminated by the selection. Hee, but that's to be expected. Lin Shuya, who had always been at odds with Yunjian, shrugged her shoulders and smiled coldly at Yunjian. The girls around who were helping Lin Shuya immediately agreed. You guys. Lin Wan was about to reply for Yunjian with a sullen face. A few excited voices came from the entrance. Yunjian, you're back. Someone said that they saw you enter our school, but we didn't believe it. You're really back. Some of the boys and girls in Yunjian's class were excited when they heard the excited voices ringing from the entrance. Ah, it's the members of Team Monarch. They must be here for Team Monarch's general, Slashing God. While the crowd was engaged in a heated discussion, the six of them, led by Chu Ning and Chu Xiongnan, walked in through the main entrance. How was it? Yunjian, you must have gotten a place to go to the hunting academy, right? Hee. You won't let us down. Chu Xiongnan walked over and looked at Yunjian with a grin. Are you guys stupid? She's back in less than a month. She must have been eliminated. Lin Shuya, who was a distance away, reminded them once again. The selection lasted for a month and people could be eliminated at any time. Yunjian came back so early. What else could it be other than being eliminated? Just when everyone was stunned by Lin Shuya and thought that she made sense, that Yunjian must have returned because she had been eliminated, Yunjian spoke up and retorted without holding back. You're right, Lin Shuya. You're right. Chapter 1658. Yunjian's words rang out abruptly and reached the ears of every student in the class, stirring up a storm. After all, representing Z country to further their studies in a hunting school was something that every student present could only imagine. At least for now, it was something that was out of their reach. But what about Yunjian? Did Yunjian really get a place in such an unattainable thing? Of course, that was not the main point. The main point was that Yunjian actually got first place. What kind of place was the selection arena? The people who went were the most famous special forces soldiers in the country. Yunjian was still inexperienced. She was just a student from Min City's military school. Like everyone else, she was just an ordinary student. But she got first place in the selection arena? If Yunjian barely made it into the top 20, the crowd would not be as shocked as they were now. However, the scary thing was that Yunjian actually got first place in the selection arena? That was a lie, right? Yunjian, don't try to lie to us. It hasn't even been a month since you went to the selection arena. You got first place? Who would believe that? It hasn't even been a month and only those who are eliminated will be sent back. The way I see it, it's obvious that you were eliminated and sent back. You're still pretending that you got first place. Who would believe you? Lin Shuya was no fool. She could tell that Yunjian's retort just now was an overt and covert retaliation. Moreover, it had not even been a month since Yunjian went to the selection arena. She was sent back in less than a month. If that was not elimination, what was it? We believe in Yunjian. She's never bothered to lie. Chu Ning stood up and patted her chest as she spoke in a reassuring tone. She won't lie. I guarantee it with my integrity. Just as Chu Ning's voice fell, Zhang Weiwei spoke up as well. Zhang Weiwei still remembered that in the beginning, she was also one of the members who went against Yunjian. Today, she was completely convinced by Yunjian. We, Team Monarch, never lie. Captain Lu Shiyun said solemnly. In their hearts, Yunjian was no different from a god. It was because of Yun Jian that Team Monarch was where they were today. When Lu Shiyun started, all 6 members of Team Monarch were fighting to pat their chests and swear that Yun Jian was telling the truth. You're just siding with your teammates. Humph. Whether or not I've been chosen, we'll know when the results are announced. Lin Shuya seemed to be angry. She gritted her teeth fiercely. Just as she finished speaking, the homeroom teacher, Teacher Chu, walked into the classroom from outside the door. The students were still in shock. It was the end of class now. Why would the class teacher come to the classroom? However, Mr. Chu looked around and set his eyes on Yun Jian. He then walked over quickly. Yun Jian, you've won first place in this selection. Our Min City Military Academy is basking in your glory. The higher-ups are praising our Min City Military Academy for producing such a talent. Principal Ma is over the moon. He's asking you to go to his office for tea. Teacher Chu spoke to Yun Jian as he walked. Principal Ma was the principal of Min City Military Academy. Yun Jian's participation in the selection was due to Principal Ma's recommendation. Teacher Chu's words were like a heavy invisible slap on Lin Shuya's face. Lin Shuya's face was as dark as steel from the heavy blow. Even when Yun Jian walked out of the classroom, Lin Shuya's face was still as dark as if she had been constipated for 365 days. The students in the class were dumbfounded. She actually made it to the preliminaries. Chapter 1659. The students in the classroom were still in shock, but Yun Jian had already gone to Principal Ma's office. After receiving Principal Ma's hospitality in his office, they could already go to the cafeteria for lunch when they came out. Yun Jian, you don't know how Lin Shuya looked like she ate shit when she heard Teacher Chu say that you got first place. Haha. After you left, Lin Shuya's face was still dark, and she still hadn't recovered from the shock for a long time. Lin Wan was still talking about how Lin Shuya saw that Yun Jian really got first place, and then Yun Jian was invited to the principal's office for tea by the homeroom teacher, Teacher Chu. Lin Shuya was so shocked that her mouth was wide open, and she couldn't even make a sound, as if she had been constipated for hundreds of days. As she spoke, Lin Wan was still laughing, as if she was the one who was venting her anger. Yun Jian only pursed her red lips after hearing that. This kind of small matter is not worth mentioning, Muing said with a smile, showing her big white teeth. Halfway through the meal, Chu Ning and the others brought their lunchboxes to the table next to Yun Jian. Yun Jian, we're going out for a walk tonight. Do you want to come along? Chu Ning winked at Yun Jian and asked Yun Jian. Aren't we staying in school tonight? How are you going to get out? Lin Wan blinked innocently and asked. Shushu. Don't be so loud, we're in school, but we can climb over the wall and get out. We'll come back when we're done playing, it's youth. We have to have some fun. Hee hee. Chu Ning dissed Lin Wan, and winked at Yun Jian again. I promised to treat you guys to a meal last time tonight. Yun Jian held a bowl of seaweed soup, and she promised Chu Ning and the others indirectly. As soon as she finished speaking, she put the bowl of seaweed soup into her mouth. Delicious. Okay. Then Yun Jian, we'll call a few buddies we just met, that's okay, right? I think we'll call a few more people, and if we get caught, we'll all be punished together, hee hee. Chu Xiongnan scratched his head, and asked Yun Jian in a negotiating tone. It just so happens that you've won first place. They'd love to meet you. Chu Xiongnan did not stop talking. Anything is fine, Yun Jian said these 2 words, and continued to take a sip of the seaweed soup. Okay. Chu Xiongnan was overjoyed when he heard that. He nodded and began to finish the food in his lunchbox at lightning speed. After Chu Ning and her friends left, Lin Wan stared at Yun Jian blankly. She lowered her voice and asked Yun Jian in her softest voice. Yun Jian, are you guys really going to skip school and go out to play? This isn't good, is it? Yun Jian did not answer Lin Wan directly, and instead asked Lin Wan in return, want to go together? Lin Wan shook her head immediately after hearing that. No, I'm not going. I'm not going either, you have fun, Muing yawned and said to Yun Jian. But Yun Jian, is it really okay for you to skip school like this? You were just praised today if you get caught. Lin Wan was still worried. However, before Lin Wan could finish her sentence, Yun Jian's red lips curled up. She pursed her lips, paused for 2 seconds and said, "Youth." After that, Yun Jian took the lunchbox with one hand and poured the rest of the food. Lin Wan was left behind, and she was slightly stunned, but she shook her head in the end, indicating that she did not understand. The agreed time was 10 o'clock, and after the dormitory check, they would gather at the wall of the south gate of the school. Min City Military Academy went to bed early, and the dormitory check was early as well. At around 10 o'clock, the dormitory auntie and uncle were already asleep. Even the girls in Yun Jian's dormitory were half asleep. Chapter 1660. The aunties in the female dormitory and the uncles in the male dormitory had the same problem. They slept very deeply. Because of this, many students from Min City Military Academy would escape in the middle of the night to play and have supper. Moreover, most of the students in Min City Military Academy were martial artists. Other than a few girls who studied military medicine, the rest of the boys were all military academy students. Naturally, their strength was not to be underestimated. After all, they were trained in the military academy. Naturally, they wouldn't be too bad. Those who played truant would hide a little, afraid that the aunties in charge of the dormitory would still be awake and would be caught patrolling. But what about Yun Jian? She walked openly to the female dormitory's entrance. But the strange thing was that Yun Jian's footsteps were light. It was like a female ghost floating on the ground without making any sound. Yun Jian walked without making any sound, just like a female ghost. If someone saw this scene, it would be strange if they weren't scared to death. Yun Jian's dormitory building was quite high. When Yun Jian reached the second floor, just as she turned the corner on the second floor, a girl secretly ran over from the other side. Because Yun Jian's footsteps were light, it was as if there was no sound at all, so the girl didn't notice that someone was coming down the stairs on the third floor. When Yun Jian stepped on the stairs on the second floor, the girl happened to rush over from the corner. The moment she saw Yun Jian, the girl nearly shrieked when she saw her due to the darkness and the fact that she did not make any noise when she walked. In the end, she clamped her hand over her mouth to stop herself from shrieking. Yun Jian immediately dodged to the side when the girl rushed over and avoided the girl's collision. But the girl was pitiful. She was so scared that her forehead hit the wall hard. She forced herself not to make a sound. It wasn't until she saw that Yun Jian was a human who had played truant like her that the girl lowered her voice and shouted at Yun Jian. "What are you doing? Don't you see if there's anyone here?" The girl shouted at Yun Jian in a muffled voice. Yun Jian blinked but didn't pay much attention to him. Tonight's moon was especially round. The round moon shone on the earth. Over at the dormitory building, the girls could see Yun Jian's face clearly. Yun Jian's night vision was very good. Naturally, she could see the girl's face clearly. Just now, it was the girl who rushed over. She was not wrong, so Yun Jian ignored the girl and went straight downstairs. "You!" The girl didn't dare to yell loudly, so after a muffled sigh, she also sneaked downstairs. The door to the female dormitory was locked, so the dormitory manager was snoring. The girls' dormitory was surrounded by fences, and the door was locked. There was no way to get out. There were already 4 or 5 girls standing there. It could be seen that there were many people who sneaked out of the school to play in the middle of the night. "Are you here yet? Are they here yet? Did senior sister bring the key?" These girls bent over and snuck out in the middle of the night. They didn't even have the courage to stand up straight. "Not yet. I wonder what senior sister is doing. I feel that if this goes on, we'll be discovered by the dormitory manager." These girls stood at the door anxiously. Their voices were as soft as the buzzing of insects. Just as the girls said this, they saw a figure looming at the stairs. "She's here? Senior sister is here?" one of the girls said happily. However, before the girls could rejoice, they saw a person with a high ponytail walking over with a straight back. She didn't look like a truant at all. The girls were so disappointed that they were discouraged. "Why isn't senior sister here yet?" one of the girls complained softly. Just as she finished speaking, she saw Yun Jian walk straight to the door. She reached out to touch the door lock. "Hey, what are you doing? Can you open the door without the key?" If you open the door without the key, not only will you shake the door lock and alert the dormitory manager, you won't be able to open the door. "Which class are you from? Are you stupid?" Before Yun Jian could reach out to touch the door lock, a girl immediately stood up to stop her. However, before the girl could reach out to stop Yun Jian inserted the thin iron wire in her hand into the door lock. She shook the door lock slightly twice. Then, Yun Jian opened the door under the girl's gazes. She didn't look like a truant student at all. She straightened her back and walked out as if nothing had happened. Seeing Yun Jian open the door so easily, the girls were completely dumbfounded. Chapter 1661. Who was she? How could she open the door just by fiddling with the lock without using a key? Why would she need a key if the lock was there? The girls who were standing at the same spot gaped in shock as they watched Yun Jian walk away. It was only when the girl who almost bumped into Yun Jian sneaked down the stairs that they realized what had happened. The girl who almost bumped into Yun Jian was stunned when she saw the door open. Then she asked softly, "How did this door open?" The girl who just walked out opened it. She just fiddled with the door and it opened. One of the girls replied in a daze. At this moment, Yun Jian had already arrived at the wall surrounding the south gate of the school where they had agreed to meet. There were quite a few people standing there. Apart from Chu Ning's group of 6, there were also a few boys and a few girls. It was not hard to tell that a few of the boys were Chu Xiangnan's buddies. As for the girls, they were probably the girlfriends of Chu Xiangnan's buddies. Of course, one or two of the girls had tagged along to hang out. Min City Military Academy was huge and there were many girls studying military medicine. Therefore, there were 3 female dormitories while there were more than 10 male dormitories. Chu Ning, Jiang Weiwei, and these girls were definitely not in the same dormitory as Yun Jian. There were lights near the south wall, so Yun Jian could see the faces of the people in front of her clearly when she arrived. "There's a beauty here." When Yun Jian appeared, one of the boys whistled and looked at Yun Jian with a slightly teasing tone. When young boys and girls stood together, the boys would always have a sense of vanity. They would want to show off their most handsome or knowledgeable side in front of everyone. On the other hand, girls loved to show off how they were different from other girls in front of the boys. To put it bluntly, it was to show off their charm. "Xiangnan, you're amazing. How do you know such a beautiful woman?" The guy who had teased Yun Jian earlier even snapped his fingers at Chu Xiangnan. Chu Xiangnan smiled awkwardly, but in his heart, he was thinking, "Didn't you guys ask to see Yun Jian? Xiangnan, is your Team Monarch's Grim Reaper coming or not?" However, she saw the boy poking his head towards the dormitory building. When he saw that it was pitch black, he turned his head and complained impatiently. The boy's name was Wu Yaotian, and he was a senior in the 3rd year of high school. He usually took care of Chu Xiangnan, but he was extremely prideful and liked to act cool in front of girls, especially beauties. "Isn't this already? It's already in front of you." Chu Xiangnan didn't have time to say anything. Wu Yaotian had already reached out his hand towards Yun Jian. He looked at Yun Jian with what he thought was a seductive gaze and said, "Beauty, let me carry you over the wall. Look at your precious body. Isn't it a little scary to climb over the wall?" As soon as Wu Yaotian said that, Yun Jian turned her body away. "Haha, the beauty is ignoring you." The other boys jeered again. Wu Yaotian licked his lips. He turned and grabbed another girl. After getting the other girl's permission, he carried the girl and jumped over the wall. Then, he jumped back over the wall. "How is it? Am I good at climbing over the wall? It only took me a minute to bring you out. What do you think, beauty? Do you want me to carry you out?" Wu Yaotian reached out to Yun Jian again. "Brother Yaotian, why are you carrying her? Look, she's ignoring you. Just let her stay in school alone. We'll go out and have fun. She can't go out on her own. Don't bother about her." A girl who was standing at the side pouted and whined to Wu Yaotian when she saw that. This girl's name was Chi Mei. She was Wu Yaotian's admirer. "Beauty, if you don't come over, I'll carry another girl. This wall is 2 meters high. You won't be able to get out." Wu Yaotian threatened Yun Jian. As he spoke, he waved his hand again. As soon as Wu Yaotian finished speaking, he saw Yun Jian take 2 steps towards him. Wu Yaotian's eyes lit up. Just as the surrounding boys were jeering and thinking that Yun Jian was going to throw herself into Wu Yaotian's arms and beg to be carried over the wall. However, they saw Yun Jian run forward. Then, she jumped up and grabbed the top of the 2-meter-high wall with both hands. With a 360 degrees flip, she spun and jumped over the wall. Her movements were clean and neat as if she had done this hundreds of times. This process didn't take more than 3 seconds. Chapter 1662. If Yun Jian was not a martial artist, it was impossible for her to be so nimble with her movements just now. When students from regular schools played truant, even boys would look pathetic when they were climbing over walls. However, if there were girls climbing over walls, the boys would have to look dashing when they did it. They were all students from the military school. Other than Yun Jian, the rest were seniors from the 2nd and 3rd years of high school. They had been training in the military school for 2 to 3 years, so their skills were naturally different from regular people. 4-year 3 seniors like Wu Yaotian, climbing over walls was a walk in the park. He was confident that he could do it even if he had to carry a girl over the wall. However, Wu Yaotian and the rest did not expect Yun Jian to be able to climb over the 2-meter-high wall in just 3 seconds. Even the male students who were from the military class of the 3rd year of high school couldn't do such a thing. Xiangnan, how did she? How was she so good? Wu Yaotian was dumbfounded. He looked at Chu Xiangnan and was interrupted by Chu Xiangnan. You can't afford to offend her. Chu Xiangnan looked at Wu Yaotian meaningfully but did not reveal Yun Jian's identity. He patted Wu Yaotian's shoulder and walked to the wall with a smile before climbing over it. Chu Xiangnan befriended Wu Yaotian and the rest because they treated him well. However, that did not rule out the fact that Wu Yaotian and the rest liked to show off in front of girls. It was true that most boys like to show off their abilities in front of girls. After Chu Xiangnan climbed over the wall, the other 5 members of Team Monarch did the same. The other 5 members of Team Monarch ignored Wu Yaotian and the rest. It was obvious that Wu Yaotian and the rest were in cahoots. TSK, what's there to be proud of? So what if she climbed over the wall? I can do it too. Chi Mei was indignant that Yun Jian had everyone's attention. Recalling how Yun Jian had flipped over the wall just now, she went over to do the same. Chi Mei, you have to be careful. Outside the wall, Yun Jian had been waiting for quite some time. Chu Ning, Chu Xiangnan, Jiang Weiwei, Lu Shiyun, Fang Xiaoran, and Hong Fan had been working hard in the military school and their skills had improved tremendously. Yun Jian had taken 3 seconds to climb over the wall while the 6 of them had taken a longer time. However, Yun Jian could sense that they had improved as compared to the past. You've improved, Yun Jian commented with a press of her lips after Chu Ning and the others climbed out of the wall. Heh, of course. Otherwise, you wouldn't have said that we're as dark as charcoal when you saw us last time. Chu Ning went over to put her hands on Yun Jian's shoulders and told Yun Jian with a grin. After that, Chu Ning tilted her head and smiled at Yun Jian. Speaking of which, Yun Jian, this is our first time skipping school to have supper together, isn't it? I can bring you out every day if you want. Chu Xiangnan quickly whispered into Chu Ning's ear when he heard Chu Ning talking to Yun Jian with a smile. Shut up. I'm talking to Yun Jian. Chu Ning sprung up to knock Chu Xiangnan's head and rolled her eyes at Chu Xiangnan with a grin before talking to Yun Jian enthusiastically. It was 5 minutes later when Wu Yaotian and the others climbed over the wall. When everyone was out, Wu Yaotian asked Chu Xiangnan casually just so he could take a few more glances at Yun Jian who was standing beside Chu Xiangnan. Xiangnan, is Slashing God from Team Monarch coming or not? Is she going to stand you up? As he asked, Wu Yaotian took a few more glances at Yun Jian. Isn't she already here? Chu Xiangnan was surprised before he replied. Wu Yaotian and the others were stunned by Chu Xiangnan's words. Wu Yaotian snapped out of it and asked in disbelief. Where is she? Why don't I see her? Her. She's Slashing God from Team Monarch. The Slashing God who won first place in the selection, our school's legend. Chu Xiangnan pointed at Yun Jian and told the incredulous Wu Yaotian. Initially, Chi Mei was still unconvinced by Yun Jian while Wu Yaotian and the others only treated Yun Jian as an ordinary girl. Wu Yaotian and the others even thought that she was a student from a military medical course. Now that they heard Chu Xiangnan's words, however, they were completely dumbfounded. Chapter 1663. Aya, What's with that expression? Yun Jian has always been our team monarch's killing god. Chu Xiongnan saw Wu Yaotian and the rest's deflated expressions and added a few words to help Yun Jian gloat. Other things aside, as a member of Team Monarch, Chu Xiongnan favorite thing to do the most was to step in when others looked down on Yun Jian. It was a great feeling. Wu Yaotian and the rest were already stunned, but after hearing what Chu Xiongnan said, they were even more shocked. However, that was not enough as Chu Xiongnan continued to brag about Yun Jian's abilities. Don't judge Yun Jian by her skinny frame. Just look at her skinny arms and legs and you'll see that she has no ability at all. Actually, the reason why Team Monarch is able to achieve what we have today is all because of Yun Jian. You guys don't know this, but the first time we carried out a mission, it was very difficult. That mission required us to. Chu Xiongnan stood by the wall and bragged to Wu Yaotian and the rest while pointing at Yun Jian. Wu Yaotian and the rest were stunned by what he said. At the end, Chu Xiongnan started to exaggerate. He pointed at Yun Jian and used exaggerated words to brag about Yun Jian's abilities to Wu Yaotian and the rest. You don't know this, but our mission was to steal an underground gang's secrets. Guess what happened in the end? By the time we got the news, Yun Jian had already killed her way into the gang alone and annihilated the entire gang. She was alone. She had single-handedly annihilated the entire gang. Back then, the higher-ups were so shocked. Haha, that expression was so wonderful. Chu Xiongnan words became more and more exaggerated. In the end, Wu Yaotian and the others were so shocked by Chu Xiongnan words that their jaws dropped and formed an O shape. Especially Wu Yaotian. Just now, Wu Yaotian wanted to use the excuse of carrying Yun Jian over the wall to flirt with Yun Jian. Originally, Wu Yaotian wanted to show off the skills he had learned in the military academy in front of everyone other than to flirt with Yun Jian. He felt that as a student of the Min City Military Academy, his strength was already very impressive. However, after hearing Chu Xiongnan words, Wu Yaotian felt that it was a joke that he wanted to show off in front of Yun Jian. She was the god of slaughter. It was the killing god who had won first place in the qualifiers not long ago. Those who participated in the selection were the best Special Forces soldiers in the country. Yun Jian would be facing the best Special Forces soldiers in the country. Those people were mythical existences. What about Yun Jian? She won first place. Not to mention Yun Jian's battle record of annihilating an entire gang alone. No matter which one it was, in front of Wu Yaotian and the others, they were all out of reach. One could imagine how ugly Wu Yaotian's expression was at that moment. As for Qi Mei, who had said a few bad things about Yun Jian, her expression wasn't any better. Ha ha ha. So she's the killing god, the legendary killing god. When Wu Yaotian and the others' expressions darkened, one of the guys in their group stood up and said straightforwardly. This guy had a candid personality and his words were forceful and forceful. Soon, the atmosphere at the scene was heated up again. It's not early anymore. Let's go eat supper and hurry back to school. At this moment, Lu Shiyun, who had been silent all this while, spoke up. As soon as Lu Shiyun finished speaking, everyone agreed, and the group quickly walked to the supper stall. Wu Yaotian and Qi Mei were the only ones who still remembered the unhappiness from before. Qi Mei, in particular, felt an inexplicable rage burning in her eyes as she watched Yun Jian move forward. Chapter 1664. There was a food street near the military academy. The food street here was very lively. The people here had a rich nightlife, so there were many people who came to the food street for supper at night. The food street here was filled with food stalls. If one wanted to walk from the beginning to the end, it would take more than 10 minutes. Usually, the students who played truant from the military academy would come to this food street for supper. Yun Jian and the others came here as well. What supper do you all want to eat? The boy who stood up to deal with the awkward atmosphere was called Duan Mu. Like his name, Duan Mu was a very modest and elegant boy. As soon as everyone arrived, Duan Mu swept his gaze over everyone and asked, "Let's go eat barbecue skewers." Chu Ning suddenly suggested. The entire street was filled with all kinds of snacks. There were all kinds of snacks and everything one could think of. For example, noodles, rice noodles, and of course, barbecue. Chu Ning's suggestion immediately received the silent approval of everyone present. Even Qi Mei, who had a problem with Yun Jian, did not say anything. Barbecue was the favorite of young people. Most young people did not know that barbecue could not be eaten too much, or that barbecue was unhealthy. Especially in this era, health awareness was not so strong. Therefore, many young people would go eat barbecue whenever they had the chance. Haha, come, I'll lead the way. I know a barbecue place that's especially good. It's the most popular shop here. Duan Mu quickly recommended himself. As they spoke, the group walked towards the shop recommended by Duan Mu. The military academy was silent at this moment, especially the dormitory building. It was so quiet that only the breathing of the students could be heard. However, this food street was completely different from the military academy. The food street was filled with neon lights. There was a large and bright light bulb hanging above every shop. There were tables and chairs for hawkers scattered in front of the shop. Although the tables and chairs were old and the food street did not look clean, there was a unique flavor to it. There were many tables and chairs in front of the barbecue shop recommended by Duan Mu. As soon as they walked in, Duan Mu waved at the shop owner and said, "Brother Dong, give us 50 mutton skewers, 30 skewers of roasted gluten, and 10 skewers of roasted leeks. Give us more as you see fit." Obviously, it was not Duan Mu's first time here. The owner of this shop was quite young. Judging from his figure, he was about 28 or 29 years old. Hearing Duan Mu's words, the boss who was called Brother Dong replied, "Okay. I'll roast it for you first. It'll be ready soon." "Thank you, Dong Ji." Duan Mu hurriedly thanked him. However, the group quickly sat down. Because there were many people, for small tables were put together and they sat around them. Yun Jian followed the crowd and sat down beside Chu Ning. After Wu Yaotian found out about Yun Jian's identity, although he felt quite awkward, Yun Jian was still the idol of the entire Min City Military Academy. Soon, the unhappiness from before was thrown to the back of their minds. Wu Yaotian and the others acted as if they were facing their idol and asked Yun Jian one question after another. Wu Yaotian also held back his desire to tease Yun Jian. At this moment, he was talking to Yun Jian purely as if he was talking to his idol. He had long abandoned his improper thoughts about Yun Jian. Not long after Yun Jian took her seat, a surprised exclamation sounded. It was from a girl who had just walked in from the entrance of the barbecue shop. "It's you? You're the girl who almost bumped into me at the stairs just now." As soon as the girl saw Yun Jian, she pointed at Yun Jian and exclaimed. Everyone in Yun Jian's group immediately turned their gazes over. This girl was the one who almost bumped into Yun Jian on the second floor of Yun Jian's dormitory building. There were a few other girls standing beside the girl. After the girl who almost bumped into Yun Jian spoke up, they pointed at Yun Jian and exclaimed, "That's right." Chapter 1665. The girls standing next to the girl who bumped into Yun Jian were obviously the ones who saw Yun Jian unlock the door with the wire. Therefore, the moment they saw Yun Jian, they exclaimed in shock. Those who were with Yun Jian were surprised when they heard what the girls who had just joined the school said. "You know how to pry open the door without a lock?" Duan Mu asked Yun Jian in surprise. Everyone looked at Yun Jian in shock. Yun Jian was Team Monarch slashing God, which was enough to shock everyone present. However, who would have thought that Yun Jian knew how to pry open the door? She opened the door to our female dormitory without using a key. She really gave us a fright. The girls were obviously still in shock from seeing Yun Jian unlock the door. The crowd was in an uproar, shocked by Yun Jian's ability. However, compared to that, the girl who almost bumped into Yun Jian at the staircase but was dodged by Yun Jian and hit her head hard was still holding a grudge. "Bro, it's this girl who made me get a big bump on my head. You have to avenge me." The girl who almost bumped into Yun Jian just now tugged at the hand of the man beside her like a spoiled child and pointed at Yun Jian as she spoke. The girl's name was Yang Lin. She was tall, not ugly, and had a great body. Yang Lin was a typical gangster girl while the man standing next to her was a gangster. Yang Lin liked to hang out with gangsters because she felt that she had a high status in school. Sometimes, she even felt that she could hold her head up high in school with the gangster's protection. The man standing next to Yang Lin was not her biological brother. He looked up at Yun Jian and told her in a roguish tone, "Brother Yang, you're the one who's being bullied. Were you the one who bullied my sister?" The moment he saw Yun Jian's face, The man let go of Yang Lin's hand and walked toward Yun Jian. What do you want? Duan Mu asked the man coldly. She bullied my sister. Of course, we have to pay her back. The man cackled and sized up Yun Jian. Nothing good would come out of being harassed by gangsters like this. Yang Lin crossed her arms and looked at Yun Jian. She could almost imagine Yun Jian begging for mercy. Seeing that Yun Jian was ignoring him, the man took 2 steps toward Yun Jian. Qi Mei, who was hiding in the dark, smirked. It seemed that Yun Jian would be in trouble without her doing anything. Just when Yang Lin and Qi Mei saw the man take 2 more steps toward Yun Jian's eyes flashed. With a glint in her eyes, she stood up abruptly from her seat and hollered, "Get down, all of you!" Then, she swept her leg at the man and kicked him in the knee, making him kneel on the ground. The people around them didn't know why Yun Jian suddenly shouted for them to get down, but they all obeyed. What's wrong with you? The people around them who trusted Yun Jian all got down. Yang Lin asked after Yun Jian spoke. That's... Before she could finish her sentence, Qi Mei's heart almost jumped out of her chest at the scene in front of her. In the next second, Yun Jian kicked a stool and sent it flying in the air. When the stool was kicked to its highest point in the air, a few gunshots rang out in the distance. Gunshots rang out and bullets flew toward them. Yun Jian's kick sent the stool flying toward the bullets that were fired out of the blue right in front of everyone's eyes. Several bullets aimed at Yun Jian were intercepted by Yun Jian's stool. This scene frightened everyone present to the point that their faces turned pale. Especially Yang Lin and Qi Mei, who didn't trust Yun Jian. This scene completely overturned everyone's understanding. A gun. She actually has a gun. But before everyone could be surprised by Yun Jian's terrifying skills, Yun Jian bent down and picked up 2 bullet shells from the ground. She narrowed her eyes and looked at a certain spot. She, who had been silent all this time, now played with the 2 bullets skillfully in front of everyone. Then, she curled her lips into a strange smile. Chapter 1666. Yun Jian fiddled with the 2 shiny bullet shells in her palm. She narrowed her beautiful eyes and stared at a dark corner of the food street. The food street was filled with snacks. The food street here was a straight street. If one were to cross left and right, they could pass through to a dark place or a street corner where there was no one. The 2 gunshots just now had only made 2 pft sounds. There was no doubt that the pistols were equipped with silencers. The sound of bullets fired from silenced pistols was so soft that no one on the busy food street noticed when the 2 bullets flew over. If Yang Lin, Qi Mei, Wu Yaotian, and the others hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have noticed the bullets flying over. Of course, Yun Jian, who was skilled with guns and ammunition, could easily smell the gunpowder even in this noisy food street. It was impossible for anyone who didn't come out of the assassin training camp to practice such sensitivity. Even if they came out of the assassin organization, they wouldn't have Yun Jian's ability. Yang Lin and Qi Mei screamed when they saw this. Ah! Gun! 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 There's a gun! After Yun Jian said this to the people in the dark, Yang Lin and Qi Mei finally reacted. Someone had fired a gun just now. There's a gun! There's a gun here! Yang Lin and Qi Mei were just cursing Yun Jian for suddenly shouting, "Get down!" Both of them had a problem with Yun Jian. Just now, they had been criticizing Yun Jian one after another. They both thought they had coordinated well. What else could Yun Jian say now? But they never imagined that someone would shoot them with a gun. A gun! It was a real gun. Both Yang Lin and Qi Mei were military medical students at the Min Military Academy. They had only heard the boys boasting about how they handled knives and guns and how they fought and killed. But now, such a thing was happening right in front of him. Lin Yang and Qi Mei were so arrogant just now. Now that they realized the danger, they squatted down with their hands over their heads, screamed, and found the nearest table. Then, they crawled under the table. Hearing Yang Lin's and Qi Mei's screams, the surrounding people who were eating supper were so scared that they quickly found a place to hide. Places with a lot of people were most afraid of rumors. When you were in a crowded place, if you yelled, "Someone is shooting," most of the people around you would definitely believe it. Because of this, the crowd became restless. Wu Yaotian and the others were so scared that they all found a place to hide and looked over. Chu Ning and the others also hid obediently and did not move. They were afraid of being a burden to Yun Jian. Yun Jian, who was standing in the same spot, smiled and walked out of the barbecue restaurant. She crossed her arms and looked at the darkness for a while. Then, a woman walked out. This woman was very thin and had a good figure, but her breasts were very small. She looked more like a Westerner. She held a Browning M1911 pistol in her hand and walked out from the dark seductively. This woman's code name was Ruoyin, and she was a killer known as the sharpshooter of the blood doll. Rumor had it that she once killed 3 birds with one shot. Her strength was amazing. Who is this? Wu Yaotian saw Ruoyin and the gun in her hand. He was so scared that his face changed and he turned to ask Yun Jian. Although the boys in the military academy liked to brag about themselves, when it came to critical moments, they were naturally afraid if they were not strong enough. Yun Jian ignored Wu Yaotian. She narrowed her eyes and looked at Ruoyin, who walked out from the dark. She did not look scared like the others. On the contrary, she looked at Ruoyin casually and looked up at her. There was a moment of silence. The people in the dark saw Yun Jian suddenly raise her hand and throw the 2 bullets in her hand to Ruoyin. Ruoyin's eyes flashed and she caught them. I can't accept this greeting gift. But since you're here, don't even think about leaving. Yun Jian's red lips curved slightly as she said these words calmly. The people hiding in the dark thought that Yun Jian was too arrogant. But then they saw a sharp glint in Yun Jian's eyes. Chapter 1667. Ruoyin was standing not far away with a Browning pistol in her hand. Yun Jian's lips curled slightly. She pursed her lips and stared at Ruoyin with her sharp eyes. Just as everyone was shocked by Yun Jian's arrogant words, Yun Jian's next move made everyone's expression change. Everyone was still thinking that the woman called Ruoyin was holding a pistol. And Yun Jian. She dared to speak to Ruoyin in such a tone. Did she think that she could beat Ruoyin just because she kicked out a stool to block Ruoyin's 2 shots? Yun Jian, be careful. Although Chu Xiongnan and the rest knew about Yun Jian's skills, they still shouted at Yun Jian worriedly. Why did she have to drag us down if she wants to die? Didn't she see the gun in that woman's hand? What if that gun hurts us? Why is she so selfish? Can't she just die and not drag us down with her? Chi Mei was so scared that she hid under the table and trembled. As she trembled, she did not forget to curse Yun Jian while sobbing. It's all Yun Jian's fault. It's all Yun Jian's fault. So what if Yun Jian is Team Monarch slashing God? That woman has a gun. Can she win against that woman? Not only will she not win against that woman, but she'll also get everyone killed. However, it was also at this moment that what happened next completely overturned everyone's understanding. This scene was unforgettable for everyone present. In the next breath, Yun Jian took 2 large strides to where Ruoyin was. Ruoyin's eyes sharpened and she was about to raise the Browning pistol in her hand. Before she could raise the pistol, Yun Jian took 2 steps and jumped in front of Ruoyin. This scene caused an uproar among the people who were hiding in every corner. Yun Jian's skills were amazing. However, it was not over yet. While Ruoyin was still raising her Browning pistol, Yun Jian had already arrived in front of Ruoyin in a few flashes. Then, a second before Ruoyin raised her gun and aimed, Yun Jian's hands nimbly wrapped around Ruoyin's hands like a snake. At the same time, she wrapped around Ruoyin's left hand that was holding the gun and slammed her left wrist hard. Ruoyin's hand went limp from the impact. The left hand that was holding the gun went limp, and the Browning pistol slipped to the ground. Yun Jian caught the Browning pistol without even looking at it when she attacked Ruoyin's hand that was holding the gun. The other hand that was wrapped around Ruoyin's right hand grabbed onto her right hand at the speed of light. With a vicious pull, it rapidly struck the bones of Ruoyin's right arm. Ruoyin wanted to fight back, but Yun Jian had already hit her in every part of her arm, so she didn't have any strength. She widened her eyes in shock and wanted to kick Yun Jian with her long legs. At this time, Yun Jian had already circled behind Ruoyin with the gun. She used her knee to hit Ruoyin's knee, causing Ruoyin to kneel on the ground. The entire process took no more than 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, Yun Jian had already snatched the pistol from Ruoyin's hand. Ruoyin's eyes widened. She was not weak, but she did not even have time to react before Yun Jian kicked her to the ground. She even took the pistol. After being forced to the ground, Ruoyin was about to struggle when she suddenly heard the sound of a gun bolt being pulled. Yun Jian had taken the Browning pistol from Ruoyin's hand and pressed it against the back of Ruoyin's head. When the crowd in the distance saw this scene, they could not help but be dumbfounded. Yun Jian had actually taken the pistol from this woman's hand. And from this woman's skills, it could be seen that she was definitely not weak. Ruoyin, who was known as a sharpshooter by Blood Doll. This Ruoyin was probably a member of the assassin organization. And Yun Jian had just snatched the pistol from Ruoyin's hand. Oh my god! The speed at which she snatched the pistol was faster than the speed at which she fired it. This little girl is too scary. An older uncle next to them looked at Yun Jian in shock and let out a cry of shock. Yang Lin, Qi Mei, and the rest were scared beyond recognition. They saw Yun Jian pressing the gun against the back of Ruoyin's head and smiling coldly at her expressionlessly. Chapter 1668. Yun Jian's words were like sharp silver needles, piercing Ruoyin's heart one by one. These words were simply mocking Ruoyin's incompetence as a sharpshooter. Ruoyin was famous as a sharpshooter, but she couldn't even protect her most commonly used pistol. Ruoyin was unwilling, but she had no choice. Yun Jian's strength was too strong, so strong that even if she was unwilling, she had no choice but to accept it. Heh! As expected of an SS, losing to you, I'm convinced. Ruoyin said. She didn't show any fear of Yun Jian pointing a gun at the back of her head. After all, she was an assassin who was used to all kinds of situations. Her ability to endure was naturally not something an ordinary person could compare to. Seeing that Yun Jian was suppressing Ruoyin, Yang Lin and Qi Mei, who were cowardly crawling under the table, quickly crawled out from under the table. Humph! Who told you to shoot at us just now? Yun Jian, hurry up and kill her. She almost killed us just now. I'm so angry. Qi Mei was just blaming Yun Jian for provoking Ruoyin, who had a pistol in her hand. She was asking why Yun Jian didn't die by herself and insisted on letting everyone take the risk with her. But now, Yun Jian had snatched the pistol from Ruoyin's hand and even pointed it at the back of Ruoyin's head. Even though Qi Mei was unhappy with Yun Jian before, she didn't dare to target Yun Jian now. Qi Mei even had thoughts of pleasing Yun Jian. As for Wu Yaotian, who wanted to take liberties with Yun Jian, or the very upright Duan Mu, or the man Yang Lin called brother, everyone was looking at Yun Jian with shocked and frightened eyes. At this moment, no one dared to stand out and say a word. Except for Qi Mei. Qi Mei had just criticized Yun Jian with harsh words, but now that she saw Yun Jian's terrifying strength, she went from being unhappy with Yun Jian to now standing up to please Yun Jian. Everyone present was watching Qi Mei's every word and action. Even those standing beside Qi Mei rolled their eyes at her. Quick, shoot her. Let her know how powerful we are. Humph. She actually wanted to kill us. He really dared to do that. Yun Jian, hurry up and shoot her. Anyway, you're a popular person in our military academy. Even if you really kill someone, the officers will protect you. Qi Mei was indeed a talent. Seeing that Yun Jian had subdued Ruoyin, Qi Mei, who had previously treated Yun Jian as her mortal enemy, immediately treated Yun Jian as one of her own. She even incited Yun Jian to kill Ruoyin. Those who didn't know better would think that Yun Jian was Qi Mei's subordinate. Seeing that Yun Jian had pressed the muzzle of the pistol to the back of Ruoyin's head, Qi Mei's incessant words continued to spread. As she spoke, she walked towards Yun Jian. She already treated us like that just now, and you're still not going to kill her? Weren't you very powerful just now? And didn't you once annihilate an entire gang by yourself? Why don't you dare now? Qi Mei's voice continued to ring out. The crowd watching this scene from afar was deeply disgusted by Qi Mei's actions. However, just as Qi Mei was about to reach Yun Jian suddenly turned around and let go of the suppressed Ruoyin. She turned around and kicked the completely unprepared Qi Mei. Qi Mei still treated Yun Jian as one of her own, so she was full of confidence that Yun Jian wouldn't do anything to her. But at this moment, Yun Jian suddenly kicked Qi Mei's abdomen in the air. She kicked Qi Mei far away on the spot, then held a pistol and fired a few shots at Qi Mei, who was thrown to the ground. Bang 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 bang. 5 shots. Yun Jian's marksmanship was so accurate that it was frightening. These 5 shots hit Qi Mei's forehead, Her left arm grazed the side, her left leg grazed the side, her right arm grazed the side, and her right leg grazed the side of her head. Her marksmanship was exquisite, and the shots just grazed Chi Mei's 5 sides and shot into the cement floor. 5 shots. If any of them were slightly off, Chi Mei would definitely be injured. This scene happened so quickly that Chi Mei's face turned pale with fright. The surrounding crowd was also shocked by Yun Jian's shots, and their hairs stood on end. They saw that Yun Jian had already pointed the muzzle at Chi Mei's temple. In front of everyone present, she spoke coldly to Chi Mei. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.